In the scorching heat of July, a building stands on the West 4th Ring Road of Yanqing City. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, most companies in the office building have just started their work. However, the office of Chaoran Technology on the 7th floor is filled with excitement. The company's first mobile game, after 3 months of public testing, received positive market feedback. Now, the official client program is finally complete and available for download. Not affecting the official launch 3 days later. The programmers, who have been busy for over half a year, can finally take a well-deserved break. Quiet, quiet. Everyone please be quiet. The bald supervisor with thick glasses waved his hands repeatedly, and the crowd gradually settled down. Lu Xiaofei, Chen Shun, Shou Long, Zheng Fan, stay for a meeting. The others can take their leave starting now, the bald supervisor announced. The excited programmers cheered again, hurriedly packing their things and leaving. And the bustling lobby quickly fell silent. Zheng Fan, wake up, it's meeting time. You'll go home to sleep afterward. The tall Lu Xiaofei nudged a slightly chubby programmer who was slumped over the desk in the cubicle, only to see Zheng Fan lying directly on the carpet, his eyes shut tight, showing no sign of waking up. Old Zhang, something's wrong with Zheng Fan. When Zheng Fan woke up, he found himself lying on a hospital bed. The room had 3 beds, but he was the only occupant. The other beds were neatly made, as if no one had ever used them. He lay on the bed by the window, an intravenous needle in his left wrist, cool liquid slowly flowing into his body. Sunlight filtered through the light blue curtains and warmed his face, providing a stark contrast to the heat outside. Zheng Fan quietly stared at the rectangular ceiling light in the middle of the room, slowly contemplating the ultimate questions of humanity. Who am I? How did I end up here? Before he could ponder further, a knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. The door opened, and a tall nurse walked in, holding a 4 bag. She approached the 4 stand by the bed, skillfully changing the bag, and then looked down to see Zheng Fan staring back at her with open eyes. Ah, you're awake? You didn't say anything, and you scared me. The nurse playfully chided. No, I'm sorry, I just woke up, and my head is still a bit foggy. The shy 30-something man felt nervous talking to the beautiful nurse, unable to meet her gaze and pretending to be calm by looking back at the ceiling light. Inside, his thoughts were racing. This nurse has such bright eyes, long legs, and a nice figure. If only she were my girlfriend. Another voice in his head responded. Give it a rest. You have no car, no house, just a couch potato. Don't tarnish a goddess. You've been in a coma for 3 days. It's about time you woke up. I'll go inform Dr. Chun, the nurse said, hurriedly taking the used bag with her as she left the room without closing the door. The footsteps in the corridor were distinctly audible. I've been in a coma for 3 days? Zheng Fan finally remembered who he was. He recalled that the project had been completed, and he had suddenly felt extremely tired, wanted to rest his head on the desk for a bit. The next thing he knew, he was in the hospital. What a pity, he thought. I neither died suddenly nor was I reborn. After all these years of hard work, besides some excess weight, I still have nothing. Born in a rural area of northern Hebei in the 1980s, Zheng Fan had mediocre grades in middle school and only attended a technical school for 3 years, learning no real skills, just skipping classes to play games in internet cafes. Although being good at gaming could lead to a job, he lacked the financial means to invest in it and could only have fun aimlessly. After graduating, he confidently came to Yanqing to make a name for himself, but was repeatedly scammed by black market recruiters. He paid a lot for consulting fees, membership fees, clothing expenses, and training fees, yet none of the jobs lasted more than 3 days. And he earned not a single dime. As he watched the little money he had brought with him about to run out, he became anxious, his mouth breaking out in sores. Eventually, with guidance from an older brother who rented a room in the same courtyard, he found a direct recruitment ad in a newspaper for a factory job. He applied for a position as an unskilled operator, and although the pay was low, it included meals and accommodation, which allowed him to settle down. After working for less than 2 years, having saved a little money by living frugally, his ambition returned. He fell for an advertisement and impulsively spent tens of thousands on programming courses, needing to borrow from his parents to cover the tuition. At the time, the internet was booming, and by chance, he evolved into a programmer. This job looked glamorous from the outside, but the reality was vastly different. Zheng Fan, a self-taught programmer, was just at the bottom of the food chain, barely managing to avoid being eliminated through hard learning and voluntary overtime. He couldn't even dream of promotion, as there were many formally trained, talented programmers ahead of him. Just being able to gradually increase his salary through accumulated experience was already something he was grateful for. Though the work was tiring, it mainly exhausted his mind. Compared to his previous factory job, the working environment was like heaven and earth. He no longer froze in winter or sweltered in summer, and his income had multiplied several times. His salary rose from the initial 3,000 to over 30,000, which could be considered a decent income. Zhang Fan hadn't even had the chance to envision his future when his alcoholic father suffered a stroke and was hospitalized. Although he was saved, he ended up paralyzed and needed care for eating, drinking, and other daily activities. After 3 years of suffering, he passed away. Soon after, his mother was diagnosed with late-stage cancer, which was practically a death sentence. She also succumbed within a year. The successive losses of his parents not only drained his savings, but also left him in debt to friends and family. Upon completing the recent project, the company promised a substantial bonus, allowing Zhang Fan to pay off his last debt. Relaxed in body and mind, he enjoyed the most comfortable sleep he had had since becoming a programmer, likely the longest sleep of his life. He felt as if he had a long, long dream, where he seemed to be playing a very realistic game, yet it felt like he was still a programmer, developing and testing the game. Upon reflection, it all seemed vague and increasingly blurred. Young man, how do you feel? Is there anything uncomfortable? Zhang Fan was pulled back to reality by a question from an elderly man with graying hair standing at his bedside. The doctor's white coat indicated his profession, and the nurse from earlier stood behind him, her large, beautiful eyes curiously watching Zhang Fan. I'm not uncomfortable. I just feel like I had a long sleep, and now I'm really hungry. Zhang Fan replied honestly, taking the opportunity to speak with the doctor while boldly looking at the nurse, curious about what her face looked like beneath the mask. After sleeping for 3 days, it's normal to be hungry. You can eat something light. If nothing unusual happens overnight, you could be discharged tomorrow, the doctor instructed before turning to leave. Zhang Fan, you're a programmer. You must know how to fix computers, right? The nurse asked eagerly as she sat down on the other bed. I can optimize, remove viruses, and do some system maintenance, but I'm not good with anything too complicated or hardware issues. Zhang Fan, always cautious, didn't want to oversell his abilities. I'll bring it over. Can you help me out? It's really slow. I'll treat you to dinner. The nurse said this quickly without waiting for Zhang Fan's response, and hurriedly left. The nurse's name was Li Hong, a rather common name. She returned with a somewhat new silver laptop, and when Zhang Fan opened it, he was greeted by a screen full of various software from Kingsoft 360 and other programs, along with numerous confusing web game icons. No wonder it was lagging. Out of habit, Zhang Fan first disabled the webcam and network card, then stopped unnecessary processes. He thoroughly deleted the junk programs one by one, scanned and cleared the junk files, and in no time, he had forgotten all about the beautiful nurse. Seeing that he was taking longer than expected, Li Hong went out to work again. Li Hong's computer had no games, just a few commonly used software for online videos, music, live streaming, and chatting. The 500 gigabytes hard drive contained only some personal photos and not much else. After finishing the cleanup and optimization, he connected to the internet, downloaded a few of his commonly used software from a private cloud, and started scanning again. Soon, warning messages began to flood the screen. Seeing the content, Zhang Fan chuckled. There were so many hidden little issues. His hands involuntarily began to type rapidly on the keyboard. Fully immersed in his work, Zhang Fan entered a state of complete focus. Li Hong returned with a lunchbox and stood beside him for a long time without him noticing. It wasn't until he finished a task, stretched his arms above his head, and yawned that he noticed someone next to him. When did you get back? Is the computer fixed? You really should thank me. Your computer had significant issues that most people wouldn't be able to resolve. Zhang Fan said, sounding like a child in kindergarten seeking praise. Unfortunately, he was interrupted before he could finish. I know you've worked hard, so I'm treating you to a meal. The doctor said you can only eat light food, so I made a simple meal. Don't complain about it being too basic. Li Hong handed him the lunchbox, moved the laptop off the small table, opened the box, layered the food, and finally handed him a pair of disposable chopsticks. Smelling the delicious food, Zhang Fan quickly set aside his desire for praise, picked up the chopsticks, and started eating. You had too many unwanted software forcibly installed on your computer, so I cleaned it up along with some regular viruses and Trojans. The security settings have been adjusted according to the level of my own computer. Zhang Fan said as he finished eating and slowly sipped his soup, talking while eating. Li Hong was beside him, testing the software's opening speed, rapidly launching several applications. It's much faster than before, quite good. Thank you. Let's add each other on WeChat or QQ. I might need your help in the future, okay? Li Hong turned to him and asked. Zhang Fan's eyes instinctively avoided her gaze. Okay, he stammered, trying to mask his nervousness and excitement by sipping his soup. You seem reluctant. Are you afraid your sister-in-law might get jealous? Then maybe forget it. Sister-in-law? What does her jealousy have to do with me? Confused, Zhang Fan looked up and met the nurse's teasing gaze. Oh, I see. I'm single, no girlfriend, no wife, so no one can get jealous. He quickly blurted out his QQ and WeChat ID. worried she might change her mind. Your computer has been monitored. Someone accessed your webcam, and there are 2 different Trojan programs. I just wrote a targeted tracking software. In the future, when you open the software while online, it will allow you to trace back to the person monitoring you, Zhang Fan explained proudly. Really? Li Hong quickly closed her laptop. Don't worry now, I've patched the vulnerabilities. You can use tape to cover the webcam and remove it when needed, Zhang Fan reassured her. Can I really catch who is secretly monitoring me? Their methods aren't very sophisticated. They're probably not professional hackers. If they try to monitor you again, my software will definitely record traces. If their webcam isn't specially protected and the angle is right, you might even see them and shout at them to scare them off. Huh, Zhang Fan proudly introduced his creation. Then can they still see me? Of course not. They'll think the internet is lagging and buffering. Don't worry, it only takes a few seconds to capture their address. When that happens, just contact me, and I can help you find out who it is, Zhang Fan explained earnestly. Okay, thank you, Li Hong said as she tidied up the lunchbox and left with a heavy heart. That night, just as Zhang Fan fell asleep, he was awakened by a phone call. As soon as he answered, he heard Li Hong's excited voice. I caught the person. Wow, they usually act all respectable, but turn out to be so sleazy. Despicable. Zhang Fan, you're amazing. Chapter 2 Promotion and Salary Increase. It has been a month since he left the hospital, and Zhang Fan seems to still be in a dream. After resting at home for 3 days post-discharge, he returned to work. Originally, the bald supervisor Zhang Jian planned to let him rest properly, but unexpectedly, the boss specifically requested to see him. He praised Zhang Fan and indicated that someone with his talents should be valued. Given that he participated in the entire game development process and has a high level of understanding, the boss decided on the spot to promote him to the position of Technical Deputy Supervisor in the Game Operations Department, along with a significant salary increase. Since the game had just officially launched, it was a busy time, making it inconvenient to discuss taking time off. Following this hospitalization, Zhang Fan did not feel his health declining. Instead, he felt even more energetic, as if he had endless strength. The work in the operations department was much easier than his previous role. He only needed to resolve technical issues, delegating simpler problems to his subordinates while complex issues were handled by the developers in his former department. His role was primarily to supervise and coordinate. In this new position, he managed his work with ease and received unanimous praise from both superiors and colleagues. Zhang Fan sometimes reflected on himself. He used to be introverted and insecure. But after his coma, it seemed he had transformed into a different person. Had he gained enlightenment? Li Hong has been feeling troubled lately. Every time her family calls, within 3 sentences, they start pushing her to get married. Her mother keeps repeating the same lines, and it has become exhausting to hear. Does she not want to get married? As she approaches 30, there aren't many suitable matches that just happen to cross her path, and she can't just marry anyone casually. In her hospital alone, there are more than 30 unmarried female doctors and nurses, but the unmarried male doctors, even counting the older ones, barely number a dozen. The reality is such that there's not much she can do about it. Typically, women are pursued, but in this hospital, it's the opposite. Everyone is quite proactive. Of course, the conditions of those who take the initiative are likely not too shabby. Nevertheless, after working for several years and having been a bridesmaid multiple times, the number of unmarried female colleagues has not decreased. In fact, it has increased, intensifying the competition. Hey, Li Hong, where are you planning to eat after work? As the afternoon shift ended, a round-faced nurse named Lu Xiaoyuan, who is also single and 3 years younger than Li Hong, asked while changing in the locker room. Where else? I'll just eat at home, Li Hong replied, folding her nurse uniform neatly and placing it in the wardrobe. She took out a black t-shirt and put it on, followed by a pair of denim shorts, pulling them up to her waist and zipping them. What's the progress with that programmer uncle? Have you two been intimate? How's his skills? The round-faced nurse's curiosity was ignited. Lu Xiaoyuan, can you not be so inappropriate? We're just ordinary friends. We've only had dinner together twice, Li Hong defended herself. Ordinary friends? Is he even a man? Or does he have issues with his sexual orientation? Doesn't he have any feelings for such a beautiful woman like you? Or do you not find him appealing? Despite being a bit shorter and chubbier, he is still decent looking, with a reasonable income. Plus, he is orphaned. So there won't be any worries about in-law relationships if you marry him. How about you just introduce me to him? Lu Xiaoyuan said, shaking Li Hong's arm. By this time, the two had changed their clothes and walked out of the emergency department building. You're still calling me good sister after saying that? Just wait and see how I deal with you. Li Hong turned around and pinched Lu Xiaoyuan's round face with both hands, pushing it from side to side. Good sister Hong, I won't do it again. Lu Xiaoyuan quickly begged for mercy, and as soon as her mouth was free, she continued, I'm just worried about you. In 2 years, you'll be 30. Haven't you heard? Men at 31 are like flowers, while women at 30 are like tofu dregs. All right. Why are you sounding like my mom? She just nagged me on the phone this morning, and now you're doing it too. Please spare me. Li Hong lamented. What are you waiting for? You need to make a move. If neither of you takes the initiative, when will you ever succeed in finding someone? Isn't that inappropriate? Isn't it a bit degrading to take the initiative? My dear sister, what era are we in? You still have such futile thoughts? No wonder you've dated 2 guys, and they both ended badly. You're too conservative. Don't tell me you're still a virgin? Lu Xiaoyuan exclaimed. Li Hong quickly covered her mouth. They had just reached the hospital entrance, and fortunately, the noise from the crowd meant no one noticed what they were saying. Lu Xiaoyuan realized she had gotten a bit carried away and shyly stuck out her tongue as they walked towards the nearby subway station. Even if you're too shy to make a move, you should give him some hints. Don't you chat on WeChat? Send him some photos, flirt a little. Do I really need to teach you this? Lu Xiaoyuan said, exasperated. Then what would that make me? Too forward. Li Hong hesitated. TSK. Single guy and single girl, even if it doesn't work out. What's wrong with just being friends? Give me your phone. I'm really worried for you. Lu Xiaoyuan grabbed Li Hong's phone and ran a few meters away. Hey there, give a smile to the camera. She quickly snapped several photos from different angles. Then picked one and sent it to Zhang Fan on WeChat. Hey, give my phone back. Who told you to send a photo? Li Hong reacted a moment too late and tried to snatch the phone back, but the photo had already been sent and was immediately viewed. The two had to walk a few minutes to catch the subway, and by the time they reached the platform, a train was arriving. Lu Xiaoyuan stuffed the phone into Li Hong's hands. This is all I can do for you. Bye, girl. She waved and hopped into the subway car. The phone vibrated, and a message tone sounded. Are you off work? Do you have time? I'd like to treat you to dinner? Zhang Fan sent 3 messages in a row. When he received the messages, Zhang Fan was tidying up his things, preparing to leave work. He opened the message and saw the backlit photo. A beautiful woman in denim shorts, with long, straight legs, a slightly rounded chest beneath a loose t-shirt, a well-defined nose, and a smooth profile, even showing fine hair. I have to say, the photo Lu Xiaoyuan casually took was incredibly beautiful. Even a professional photographer wouldn't do much better. In the days right after being discharged from the hospital, he had been in frequent contact with Li Hong under the pretext of helping fix a computer and had shared meals with her twice, both near the hospital where Li Hong worked. The first time Zhang Fan saw Li Hong without a mask, his eyes almost popped out. Her beauty was no less than that of a movie star, leaving him stunned. After regaining his composure, Zhang Fan began to feel anxious. He was not good with words, and he stumbled over his speech, leading to an awkward end to their date. The second time was the day before Zhang Fan started his new job. They met again at the same restaurant, but just after they ordered, Li Hong received an emergency call and had to leave without eating. Later, Zhang Fan adjusted to his new role in the operations department. As he got busy with his new responsibilities, their communication decreased significantly, with only occasional greetings exchanged. By the time he wanted to reach out again, things felt distant. After being rejected twice for a meetup, Zhang Fan slowly began to lose hope. Unexpectedly, today he received a photo from his crush, which was a delightful surprise. He took the opportunity to invite her to dinner, and she agreed. Excited, he momentarily let go of his usual composure and playfully showed off some moves, leaving his colleagues around him in shock. Feeling embarrassed, he scratched his head and quickly made his exit. Both of them rented apartments not too far from each other, coincidentally located at the northern edge of the famous Yanqing Sleep City. They arranged to meet at a small restaurant near Li Hong's place. After returning home, Zhang Fan took a shower and changed his clothes. When he arrived, it was 10 minutes before their agreed time of 7 o'clock, but to his surprise, Li Hong was already there. I'm sorry I'm late, he said. You're not late. I came early, she replied. After some polite exchanges, they started ordering food. They found they had a lot in common regarding food preferences. They both were not picky and didn't like drinking. They ordered 3 dishes and a soup, with a bowl of rice each. While waiting for the food, they chatted about their recent happenings. Zhang Fan mentioned his promotion and raise, while Li Hong shared some amusing work stories. When the food arrived, they quietly enjoyed their meal. How about we catch a movie later? I booked tickets for the 8 o'clock show, Zhang Fan casually suggested after finishing his meal and sipping a small bowl of tomato and egg soup. Sounds good. I haven't seen a movie in a long time. What did you book? Li Hong happily replied. It's a comedy starring Shen Tong, the richest man in Shihong City. It has been really popular lately, with box office earnings over 2 billion. Zhang Fan suppressed his excitement. The idea of a date, dinner, and a movie was something Zhang Fan had fantasized about countless times, and now he finally had the chance to make it happen. How could he not be thrilled? I've already settled the bill. Let us go. Zhang Fan was pondering whether to hold her hand when he realized he had forgotten the main point. Unexpectedly, Li Hong returned from the restroom and had already paid the bill. This can't be. I said I would treat you. How can you pay? Whatever you spent. I'll transfer it to you. Zhang Fan felt his pride as a man was trampled and desperately tried to reclaim his dignity. All right. Keep your voice down with so many people around. Li Hong turned and walked out of the restaurant, and he had no choice but to follow her. Anyway, it wasn't much, Consider it a celebration for your promotion. No more arguing about it. You asked me to watch a movie. Are we still going? Li Hong spoke first as they walked to the roadside after leaving the restaurant. Of course we're going. Zheng Fan was caught off guard by her question, his mind filled with words now silenced. Then let's go? Li Hong reached out her right hand to him, her skin fair and delicate, her nails neatly trimmed and unpolished. Naturally beautiful like a piece of art. Holding her soft hand, Zheng Fan felt dizzy, enveloped by a tremendous sense of happiness, as if he had the whole world in his grasp. He had no memory of what the movie was about until they emerged from the crowded cinema and stepped onto the street, gradually coming back to his senses. I'll walk you back, it's almost 10. I live in the neighborhood up ahead, just a few minutes away. You live farther, so no need to walk me. Li Hong said politely. That won't do. I have to see you to your door. Zheng Fan was unusually clever for once. The two walked in silence. One tall and one short, one slim and one plump, with her flat shoes still noticeably giving her a slight height advantage over him. Zheng Fan racked his brain for conversation. What time do you start work every day? Not before 7. I'm on the day shift recently. Need to clock in before 8. I'm an hour behind you. The short walk was brief, and just a few sentences later, they arrived at Li Hong's building. I'm here. Want to come up for a bit? Is it too late to disturb you? My roommate is live streaming at this hour, as long as you don't mind the noise. I usually watch live streams too, but I've never seen what a streamer looks like offline, so it's a good opportunity. They shared a 2-bedroom apartment, originally rented by the female streamer Su Lu, who lived in the south-facing master bedroom and sublet a secondary room to Li Hong to help with rent. Upon entering, the living room was visible in its entirety. To the left was a wall-mounted large-screen TV, and to the right, a light blue fabric sofa set, with a marble coffee table in front cluttered with snacks and fruit peels. Further ahead was a closed balcony connected to the living room, adorned with several pots of plants, all arranged simply and warmly. The spying malware on Li Hong's computer was set up by a fan who met Su Lu through her live streams. After gifting her several virtual gifts and being in the same city, he arranged to meet Su Lu offline. Su Lu invited Li Hong as a cover, and they became acquainted. Initially, he left a good impression as a mature and stable person with a successful career, but within a week, Zheng Fan discovered the spying malware. When they caught the person spying, Li Hong considered reporting it, but after Su Lu repeatedly vouched for him, it ended up unresolved. Don't bother changing shoes. Just make yourself comfortable. What do you want to drink? We have purified water, cola, black tea, and fruit and vegetable juice. Li Hong welcomed him inside. I'm not thirsty. You don't have to go through the trouble. Then purified water it is. She decided for him. She took a bottle of purified water from the fridge and handed it to Zheng Fan, while clearing the snack bags and fruit scraps from the coffee table into the trash. The wall next to the TV likely belongs to Su Lu's bedroom and streaming room, with music and voices occasionally drifting over, making them particularly clear in the quiet living room. Chapter 3 Learning Materials. That night, there were no more stories unfolding. During a break in Su Lu's streaming, she hurried to the living room for a drink, exchanged a quick greeting with Zheng Fan, and rushed back to continue her broadcast. Zheng Fan didn't want to disturb her further and took his leave. But being able to watch a movie with Li Hong and see her home was already a significant gain for him. Since starting to learn programming, Zheng Fan had been collecting and downloading various tutorials, source codes, and other materials from the internet, categorizing them into folders labeled learning materials. Regardless of whether he understood them at the time, he collected them all. Over time, he added a variety of literature, history, technology, and biographies, accumulating all sorts of electronic books in formats like CHM, TXT, and PDF, ranging from several hundred megabytes to several gigabytes. In truth, he had little time to read many of the downloaded materials, let alone study them, but it gave him a sense of accumulating wealth. Fortunately, hard drive capacities were increasing, and text files took up little space, while he collected too many PDF documents. As internet speeds improved, his folder for learning materials began to fill with video tutorials as well. He didn't limit himself to programming videos. He saved anything that piqued his interest, including computer repair, mobile phone repair, car maintenance, woodworking, sketching tutorials, calligraphy, and more. Most importantly, he collected various films and TV shows, especially those hard to find through legitimate channels, such as Japanese and Korean dramas, European and American series, and niche domestic films. Many of these downloads went unwatched, merely collected as part of Zheng Fan's personal quirks. Zheng Fan was not fond of socializing, smoking, or drinking, and his interest in gaming had waned. His greatest passion was accumulating all kinds of learning materials and videos. In his spare time, he enjoyed quietly studying or watching films and dramas, experiencing different lives and savoring the unique flavors they offered. Initially, he collected indiscriminately, but as video files took up too much space, he had to refine his collection, eliminating duplicates and lower quality files to save room. Video files consumed significant hard drive space, and soon his computer storage grew from 500 gigabytes to 1 terabyte, then to 2, 3 drives. And finally, he bit the bullet and assembled a storage server from his old machine specifically for his collection. He continued to use a laptop from 2 or 3 years ago for work, sufficient for coding. His desktop was even older, with a second-generation Core i3 and integrated graphics. Originally intended for storing data, he replaced the old hard drives to free up space and invested in 6 4TB drives, bringing the total capacity to 24 terabytes, which should last him several years. His inventory from a decade ago still hadn't filled even one of the current hard drives. Since his discharge from the hospital, Zhang Fan felt his mind had improved significantly. Many materials that were previously difficult to understand could now be comprehended and memorized after a single reading, and he could even spot errors made by the authors at times. This discovery filled him with hidden joy. It seemed that his efforts were not in vain. The vast amount of materials he had collected over the years finally found its purpose. Now, he spent several hours each night reviewing study materials, and his learning efficiency was incomparable to before. Perhaps the high-efficiency learning consumed a lot of mental energy, leaving him unable to think too much before bedtime. As a result, his sleep quality improved significantly. The insomnia and vivid dreams he once experienced were gone. Now, his sleep was almost like the computer going into hibernation. He could fall asleep quickly as soon as his head hit the pillow, and he would wake up on time the next day without needing an alarm clock. He felt energetic throughout the day without feeling drowsy. Knowing Li Hong's working hours, he decided to start work earlier to take the subway together with her, increasing their closeness. Since they lived one station apart, he had to leave a bit earlier. The next morning, before 6 o'clock, he woke up automatically, hurriedly brushed his teeth, washed his face, and headed out. He bought 2 steamer baskets of freshly made buns and 2 cups of millet porridge from a small eatery downstairs and rushed to Li Hong's place. Li Hong, I'm downstairs. Open the door. What brings you here? We're taking the same subway to work, so I thought we could go together. Have you had breakfast? I brought buns. All right. I made some noodles too. Let us eat together. What about your roommate? Is she still sleeping? She streams live until 2 in the morning, so she doesn't get up until noon. Sleeping in until natural wake up? That job as a streamer sounds pretty good. You only see the good side. You haven't seen the struggles. Sitting for hours without anyone acknowledging you. The money earned over several months barely covers food, and hair falls out in clumps. She only started earning well this year. I can't do that. Li Hong shot him a glance and retorted, You're right. No job is easy. As they chatted, they finished their meal. Li Hong took the bowls to wash in the kitchen, and when Zhang Fan tried to help, he was shooed away. It was still not yet 7 o'clock, and the city was waking up, filled with hurried young people, most heading to the same place, the subway station. After a lot of effort, the two squeezed into the subway, where Zhang Fan even managed to grab a seat for Li Hong, standing beside her as a protector. The subway was packed like a can of sardines, noisy and chaotic, making it impossible to have a normal conversation. Zhang Fan originally planned to get off one station earlier, but to fulfill his role as a guardian, he rode one more stop, escorting her to the entrance of the emergency building before he turned to head to his company. Work had entered a regular rhythm, with hardly any overtime, and he went to work punctually every day. After several days of escorting Li Hong to work, he quickly became well known in her department. During his hospitalization, few people noticed him, as there were so many patients daily, and he didn't stand out in any way. Now, being openly seen with the beautiful woman from their department, countless married and single male colleagues secretly cursed him for being a toad, wanting to eat swan meat, lamenting that a fresh flower was wasted on cow dung. Zhang Fan couldn't care less about others' thoughts. He was too busy and fulfilled with his life. Busy with work during the day and enriching himself at night. The human brain truly becomes smarter the more it is used. After initially learning in a haphazard manner without categorizing information, Zhang Fan discovered that focusing on one aspect with a purpose leads to higher learning efficiency. Many programming materials that were once difficult to understand have now become clear to him. And this enlightening feeling is akin to a martial arts master opening up their energy channels, making learning any new skills much more efficient. In order to comprehend original programming materials from abroad, he also began systematically teaching himself English. With a super memory, memorizing vocabulary was no problem, and he improved his speaking and listening skills by watching American dramas while learning. His progress was rapid. He wasn't sure what level he had reached, but he rarely needed subtitles anymore and found himself looking up fewer words on English websites. Zhang Fan took out his previous anti-surveillance tracking program and revamped it, removing the tracking function while retaining the monitoring of camera calls. He added monitoring for microphones, keyboards, mice, and other peripherals, optimizing the code with recently acquired knowledge and eliminating previously unnoticed vulnerabilities. This program was not only a way for him to apply what he learned, but also a request from Su Lu, who needed it for her daily computer live streams. She was particularly concerned about being monitored, just like Li Hong, who likely had also been spied on, but was probably too embarrassed to confront the issue openly. Once the program was roughly completed, He conducted multiple rounds of testing using various methods and software he found online. He also asked a few former colleagues who were professionals in testing to assist with black box testing, modifying some interaction flaws. After spending over half a month on it, he considered it basically finished, with further modifications based on user feedback. Since the main functions were for protection and alerts, Zheng Fan named it Night Watchdog. He didn't plan to charge for it, so he searched online for a cute puppy video and created a set of GIF icons. Once the software was ready, he uploaded it to several frequently visited forums, inviting everyone to download it for free use without ads. This weekend, both were off work and had planned to go out together, which was a perfect opportunity to install the program for Su Lu. Zheng Fan had worked in Yanjing for over 10 years, but had only visited the Free Chairman Mao Memorial Hall. Li Hong, being a local, had more experience, having visited most of the famous attractions, many of which she had been to more than once. It was August, and the weather was hot. They didn't plan to exhaust themselves, so they decided to spend the day at the Summer Palace. They entered through the new palace gate, crossed the 17-arch bridge to Nanhu Island, and rented a small paddle boat. At first, Zheng Fan was ambitious, wanting to circle the lake. But after pedaling for just over 10 minutes and panting from exhaustion, he had to give in, which made Li Hong laugh nonstop. Drifting on the little boat, they enjoyed the shimmering surface of the lake while a cool breeze from the willows on the shore provided some comfort, but unfortunately, the rental time for the boat was only 1 hour. Li Hong was quite familiar with the Summer Palace and led Zheng Fan to explore around the South Lake and West Lake. This area deviated from the mainstream tourist routes, meaning there were relatively fewer visitors. She introduced some of the distinctive spots they passed by, and when they got tired, they would rest in the shade of the trees, enjoying the cool breeze and chatting. Although they had known each other for almost 2 months, they actually knew very little about each other's situations and hadn't engaged in any deep conversations. Li Hong didn't feel an instant attraction to Zheng Fan. It was more that she didn't find him unpleasant. With pressure from home and her own anxiety about age, combined with encouragement from her colleagues, she reluctantly began to spend time with him. During this time, Zheng Fan's biggest impression on her was that he was very introverted, not talkative, and not very skilled in social interactions. Although they both tried hard to please each other and keep the conversation going, sometimes the topics they found were truly awkward. However, she also noticed some of his strengths. He was very careful with his words, avoided boasting, didn't smoke or drink, was not picky about food, and lived frugally but was generous, always eager to pay when they went out together. He was principled, and even when trying to please her, he still adhered to his principles. Li Hong considered these traits to be positive qualities, as she realized through self-reflection that she and Zheng Fan were quite similar. To others, not smoking or drinking and not boasting might be seen as being unsociable or lacking confidence. Being frugal could be perceived as stinginess, and sticking to principles might be viewed as stubbornness or pretentiousness without understanding social nuances. Li Hong was born in a county in the outskirts of Beijing, with her father being a high school teacher and her mother a primary school teacher. She grew up under the constant attention of her parents, who were strict yet open-minded, instilling good habits in her without making her overly spoiled. After the college entrance examination, she enrolled in medical school according to her own wishes, and her parents did not interfere. However, as the years passed and she remained single, even her open-minded parents began to feel anxious. The West Causeway of the Summer Palace was built in imitation of the Su Causeway of West Lake, but it was even more winding and intricate. With green mountains in the distance and water nearby, lotus flowers by the lake and willows along the causeway, with a gentle breeze and pleasant scenery. As they walked along the West Causeway, they unknowingly reached noon. In front of them was a pair of student couples who looked about 17 or 18 years old. They had been playfully chasing each other and had run ahead. The boy caught up with the girl by an ancient willow tree, pushed her against the tree, and began kissing her without a care for their surroundings. Seeing this, Li Hong felt a bit embarrassed and didn't want to walk any closer. So she turned around and pretended to admire the scenery. Although Zheng Fan envied the boy in his heart, he also had to stop and remarked, "Kids these days really. They have no sense of occasion." Just then, they heard a splash, and when they turned around, the affectionate couple by the tree was gone, replaced by 2 figures splashing in the water. "Help! Help! Save me!" Zheng Fan exclaimed, "What is happening? Is this a case of too much joy leading to tragedy?" He quickly handed his wallet and phone to Li Hong and ran towards the water, jumping in. Chapter 4. Acts of courage on both sides of the West Causeway in the Summer Palace. Many areas are gentle slopes, and the water near the shore is not deep. The spot where the 2 individuals fell into the water was an exception, with a steep drop and somewhat deeper water. When the 2 inexperienced swimmers suddenly fell in, they were understandably panicked, and as a result, they struggled and drifted further from the shore. Today, Zheng Fan was out for a day of fun, wearing a loose floral shirt, shorts, and flip-flops. As he ran over, he took off his floral shirt and tossed his shoes to the shore, jumping in wearing only his shorts. The young boy was only 4 or 5 meters from the shore, but the girl seemed to be in shock, flailing her arms and drifting further away, shouting for help, struggling to keep her head above water and appearing to have swallowed quite a bit of it. Zheng Fan jumped into the water right behind the boy, wrapping his arms around the boy's waist, pressing his head against the boy's back, and using his legs to kick and push him toward the shore. Fortunately, the edge of the shore was not too high, and the boy calmed down, grabbing onto the edge with both hands, and managed to climb up with Zheng Fan as support. That girl is in trouble. Li Hong had also run over, pointing at the water's surface in the distance. Please, help Wenwen. The boy who had just made it to safety was also anxious now. The girl had been struggling well earlier, but unfortunately, she had gone in the wrong direction and was now over 10 meters from the shore, her movements slowing down, nearly unable to keep afloat. After a few strokes, Zheng Fan reached the girl, Wenwen. He initially intended to wrap his arms around her waist from behind and lift her above the water to bring her to the shore without too much effort. However, to his surprise, when she saw someone approaching, she wrapped her arms tightly around his neck, refusing to let go. Zheng Fan felt darkness enveloping him as her grip covered his face completely. Fortunately, he remained clear-headed, even though he couldn't see. He remembered the direction he had come from. He used one arm to secure her legs to prevent her from thrashing around, while his other arm and legs pushed and paddled, finally getting closer to the shore. At this point, the girl had calmed down and was pulled ashore by her boyfriend. Dressed lightly for summer, her clothes were soaked and clung to her, nearly leaving her exposed. Zheng Fan, who was helping her up, felt extremely awkward and embarrassed. He thought he had dropped something in the water, possibly a phone. So he turned around and dove back in. The lake bottom was sandy, not muddy. And after a short search, he found it. When Zheng Fan climbed back onto the shore, he noticed a crowd had gathered around, giving him enthusiastic applause. The attention made him quite uncomfortable. He returned the phone to the girl named Wenwen, offered a few comforting words, and hurriedly left with Li Hong, almost fleeing the scene. Their visit to the summer palace ended abruptly. Under his advice, Li Hong did not disclose the rescue incident, and Zheng Fan's life returned to normal. As smartphones became more powerful, people's reliance on them grew, with almost everyone owning at least one, and many having multiple devices. Zheng Fan's Night Watchdog mini program had been uploaded for a while, with hundreds of downloads. Though not many users, the response was quite positive. Many people have expressed a desire for a program on their phones that could notify them whenever their camera is activated by any application, providing a sense of security. The operating environment on mobile devices is significantly different from that on computers, almost akin to developing a new program from scratch. In the past, this would have been an almost impossible task for Zheng Fan, who at that time was like a bricklayer, confined to repeatedly performing tasks within a framework designed by others. However, this task is no longer complex for him. He now seeks to challenge himself by integrating newly acquired knowledge and ideas into the program, making it smarter and more powerful, while ensuring it does not burden the phone's performance and runs smoothly across various brands. Once the program's architecture was conceptualized in his mind, writing it took only a few days. Surprisingly, most of the time was spent on testing with the help of contacts. To establish a testing environment for the program, Zheng Fan purchased 2 high-end computers, upgraded his personal storage server, and replaced his phone, spending an entire month's salary in the process. With no debts to worry about, Zheng Fan's financial situation became much more relaxed. Without car loans or mortgages to pay, his monthly salary, bonuses, and various subsidies totaled nearly 50,000 yuan, allowing him to live comfortably in the city. The testing of the mobile program required various brands and models of phones. So Zheng Fan posted on forums to gather hundreds of volunteers willing to participate. He also created several groups, distributing testing tasks every morning and summarizing improvements in the evenings. Fortunately, he finally completed the project and decided to make it available for free in the domestic app market, while charging $1 per month for users abroad. It was more of a practice exercise for him, so making money was not a priority. Aside from sleeping, he dedicated nearly all his time outside of work to this project, even putting his dates with Li Hong on hold. Thankfully, they still shared breakfast together and commuted on the subway to work. There were no dramatic confessions of love between them. Others around them assumed they were a couple, and they had grown accustomed to this relationship. Zheng Fan usually had lunch at the employee cafeteria on the basement level of the office building for convenience and efficiency, though he occasionally went out with colleagues for a more substantial meal. However, today he had arranged to eat with Li Hong at a restaurant near the hospital. Since he lived far away, by the time he arrived, Li Hong had already ordered the dishes and was waiting for him. "What is so urgent that it can't be said over the phone?" Li Hong asked as soon as he sat down. "The company has sent me on a business trip to another city for about a week, leaving this afternoon. So I want to be able to take you to work for a while." "Oh, I see. I happen to have a night shift coming up in a couple of days too." They then fell into a moment of silence, eating quietly. Zheng Fan generally ate quickly, and after he finished, he waited for Li Hong to complete her meal before they exited the restaurant together. "Be careful out there." Especially take care of your health and avoid any infections, Li Hong said with a teasing smile. Oh, no. I have a good digestive system and a strong adaptability. I've been there before. Since it's summer, Zhang Fan looked into his girlfriend's eyes and finally realized what she meant, quickly adding, it's a regular hotel arranged by the company. And my colleagues and I are going together. Don't worry, I'm not that kind of person. All right, no need to explain. Just call me when you settle down over there. I'm heading back now. Li Hong turned around, waved her hand, and walked away. Although they had confirmed their relationship, they usually just held hands and occasionally hugged, nothing more. Zhang Fan wanted to take a step further, but didn't know how to start. His romantic experience was quite simple. He had a girlfriend from a blind date back in his hometown, and they had a plain relationship for more than half a year. Later, due to family changes, he sold the house he had prepared for marriage to pay for his mother's medical treatment, which led to a big fight and their breakup. Since then, he had been busy with work, earning money for his parents' medical expenses, and had lost interest in romance. A female colleague once showed interest in him, but when she saw his cold response, she shifted her focus elsewhere. The flight from Yinjing to Yangcheng took about 3 hours, but the time spent traveling to and from the airport and waiting for boarding and baggage was longer than that. By the time Zhang Fan and his colleagues settled into their hotel rooms, it was already past 8 in the evening, and they hadn't had dinner yet. After spending over an hour video chatting with Li Hong to report the situation, he didn't know why they had nothing to say face-to-face. But chatting on the phone felt much more intimate. Upon hearing he hadn't eaten, she urged him to go have dinner before hanging up. The new game was unexpectedly popular, and the company decided to simultaneously expand the server capacity in Yangcheng, Xincheng, and Yucheng, dispatching 3 teams. In Yangcheng, a vice president led the team. The vice president, named Lu Mei, appeared to be in her 30s, though her actual age was unknown. She was said to have previously worked for a large international venture capital firm and was recruited by her boss with a 7-figure annual salary. One of her tasks on this trip was to negotiate with the server leasing company, accompanied by a secretary and a legal advisor, both attractive women. Staying with Lu Mei in the hotel's luxurious suite, Zhang Fan was the technical lead, mainly responsible for the installation and debugging of the game to get it online as soon as possible, along with 2 employees from the operations department and 2 colleagues from the original programming team. The work progressed smoothly, as it wasn't particularly difficult, and the team was composed of skilled workers. What was originally planned to take 7 days now seemed likely to be completed 2 days early. Every day, they worked together in the server room from 9 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon, with free time for individual activities at other times. The colleagues often went out together for fun and had invited Zhang Fan several times, but knowing he wasn't interested, they stopped asking him. The hotel where they stayed was very close to the server room, so usually, after work each day, Zhang Fan would return to the hotel alone and continue his study on his laptop. Today, just as he arrived at the hotel lobby, he was stopped by someone. Hello, are you Mr. Zhang Fan? Could I trouble you for a few minutes? A well-dressed young man seemed to have been waiting for him. I am Zhang Fan, but we don't know each other, do we? He followed the young man to the side of the guest sofa. The young man handed him a business card, which he took and saw it was from XX Management Consulting Company, signed by Hu Yifei. What can I do for you? He wondered internally, curious about why a recruitment agency was looking for him. Our company has undertaken many HR outsourcing projects for IT companies and collaborates with several major recruitment websites. We have received your resume, so we have your profile on file. I see you have 10 years of work experience, are proficient in multiple programming languages, and have participated in many large projects. I'm not sure if you're satisfied with your current job or if you're considering a change. Our company has partnerships with many industry firms and can offer you more interview opportunities. May I ask what your current salary is? Hu Yifei spoke in one breath. I'm just an ordinary programmer. There are plenty of people with higher degrees and more experience than I have. What do you see in me? Can you share? Zhang Fan asked, feeling uneasy. Let us not beat around the bush. I know your former colleague, Zhang Bo. He speaks highly of you, believes your programming skills are strong and that you work very hard, which is not reflected in your income. We are currently providing HR services for a well-known large company and need a senior programmer like you. If you're willing, the after-tax annual salary is over $1 million. Hu Yifei said with a tone of temptation and a hint of envy. Really? Just because of a few words from Zhang Bo, you think so highly of me? Zhang Fan was surprised. Every year, many university graduates enter the job market, but most of them have high expectations yet lack skills. They quit at the drop of a hat. Experienced and capable programmers like you are always a scarce resource. It's a pity. If you had contacted me 3 months ago, I would have definitely agreed. Now I've been promoted. My salary isn't as high as what you mentioned, but I'm quite satisfied and not looking to change jobs at the moment. Thank you for your consideration. Goodbye. With that, Zhang Fan stood up to leave. After bidding farewell to Hu Yifei, he was about to take the elevator back to his room when he was called back at the elevator door. Manager Zhang. Wait a moment. It was Lu Mei's secretary, whom he remembered was named Lu Meijing. They only nodded at each other and had hardly spoken before. Secretary Lu, What can I do for you? Zhang Fan asked curiously. We're colleagues in the same company and on the same business trip. Can't I find you for no reason? Lu Meijing, who gave a quiet impression, spoke quite directly. I have a girlfriend, so I need to avoid any misunderstandings. Zhang Fan replied seriously. His response made Lu Meijing laugh uncontrollably for half a minute before she could catch her breath. You really know how to be funny. All right then, if you have nothing else, I'll head upstairs. Zhang Fan felt helpless. He was just stating a fact. How did it turn into a joke? Just then, the elevator doors opened, and he hurried in. They were all staying on the 5th floor, and Lu Meijing followed him in, pressing the button for the 10th floor. I came down specifically to wait for you. Manager Lu wants to see you. You need to go to our room. Chapter 5. Recruitment agency. The suite where the three of them stayed had a dining room, kitchen, and living room, all furnished luxuriously. Lu Mei just wanted to check in on Zhang Fan about their work progress. This information is actually included in the daily work report, which Zhang Fan sends out via email every day. Perhaps seeing it in person is more intuitive than reading an email. The situation is such that, barring any surprises, everything should be completed by tomorrow. The work introduction is just a matter of a few minutes. The three of them sat on the sofa opposite Zhang Fan, staring at him like they were in a panel review, asking him unrelated questions that made him feel anxious, only wanting to leave quickly. Once they finish their tasks tomorrow, they can head back. The accommodation fee is paid for 7 days, if they want to stay for another couple of days. That is fine as long as it doesn't interfere with work next week. Xiaozong, you need to stay for us the day after tomorrow to assist with our work, Lu Mei said, elegantly sipping her tea while sitting across from him. Just a few minutes after returning to his room, Zhang Fan received a call from his former colleague Zhang Bo, asking him to hurry downstairs and wait for him. 2 years ago, he participated in a project led by Zhang Bo, where he was just one of dozens of programmers, not standing out in any way. He didn't know why Zhang Bo suddenly thought of him. Zhang Fan, my brother. Wow, we haven't seen each other in 2 years. And you haven't changed at all. Let us go. Get in the car. Zhang Bo, who was not yet 40, was tall and robust, with a charismatic presence. He was cheerful and could easily strike up a conversation with anyone. A white BMW was parked at the hotel entrance, with the door still open and a security guard standing nearby. See, I said 5 minutes, and it really is 5 minutes. Sorry for the trouble, brother, bye. After they got in the car, Zhang Bo waved at the security guard and drove off. There wasn't much traffic on the road, and after about 10 minutes, they stopped in front of a bathhouse, where a huge sign shone brightly under colorful lights. Aren't we going for a meal? Why are we here? Zhang Fan got out of the car and felt a bit regretful about coming here. It's just the two of us. A restaurant would be boring with few dishes and a waste with too many. This place is great. It has a buffet. Take as much as you want without wasting. After eating, we can get a Thai massage. It's so refreshing and relaxing. I tell you, if I don't come here once a week, I lose my motivation at work. Zhang Bo rambled on, not giving Zhang Fan a chance to refuse. Come on, what are you hesitating for? Don't worry. It's a legitimate establishment. Let us go. I'll cover all the expenses. Seeing Zhang Fan hesitate, Zhang Bo directly draped his arm over his shoulder and pulled him inside. The interior was lavishly decorated, with staff members who were all handsome and beautiful, dressed in uniform work attire, and their behavior indicated they had received professional training. The lobby was bustling with people of all ages, looking prosperous. Seeing this scene, Zhang Fan's initial resistance diminished significantly, and curiosity began to rise. Since he was already inside, he thought he might as well experience it. The bathing area didn't differ much from the bathhouses he had been to before, with pools, showers, and saunas, but the space was larger and more luxuriously decorated. The difference was in the massage area on the 2nd floor, which had individually decorated small rooms, reportedly styled in a Thai theme, with exotic murals hanging on the walls and a small golden Buddha sitting cross-legged on a table with hands in prayer. They chose a private room for two, where they could chat while enjoying the service, changing into specially prepared outfits. The staff also brought in some aromatic scents made from unknown materials, and soothing music played in the background. I heard Zhang Jin mention that you recently got promoted and are now working in game operations. Yes. Being a programmer is too exhausting, and I'm not young anymore. This opportunity came at the right time, so my previous experience won't go to waste, and the work can be a bit easier. At this moment, a staff member knocked and brought in 2 young women in their 20s. Their hair was neatly styled in buns, exposing their slender necks. They wore purple kipayos with bare shoulders and skin-colored stockings, each carrying a matching rectangular bamboo box. Upon entering, they bowed in unison to greet them. The sight left Zhang Fan, who hadn't seen much of the world, momentarily stunned. Fortunately, he wasn't a young man anymore. His composure from over 30 years of practice kicked in, and he quickly averted his gaze to maintain his calm demeanor. Brother, which one do you prefer? You choose. And if neither suits your taste, we can have them change. Zhang Bo asked with experience. Number 23 on the left, Zhang Fan replied, not wanting to put anyone in a difficult position, so he chose the woman standing next to him. Then I'll take number 24 on the right. Alright, you can start now. Thai traditional massage is said to have originated from ancient India, invented by a royal physician and brought to the ancient region of Thailand by wandering monks. It has a history of several thousand years, though the truth of it is not deeply investigated. However, it does have unique benefits for loosening muscles and bones, and it has become quite popular in recent years. At first, Zhang Bo shared knowledge about Thai massage with him, and whenever he had questions, he would ask the massage therapist. Later, he was too busy enjoying the comfort to do anything but hum and exclaim in pain. The technician appeared to be a gentle young woman, but she surprisingly had considerable strength, causing a nearly 200-pound man to cry out. Starting from the feet, she worked on the ankles, calves, thighs, hip joints, fingers, arms, shoulders, neck, and so on, finishing one side before moving to the other. After completing the back, she sat cross-legged and continued her work. Not only did she use her hands to knead and press, but she also applied her elbows, stretched with her arms, stepped with her feet, and used her knees to push. The massage was quite a test of endurance for the technician as well. Initially, Zhang Fan felt tense, with his muscles all tightened up. However, after repeated reminders from the technician, he finally learned to relax and gradually began to experience a mix of pain and pleasure. The 90-minute massage seemed to pass quickly, and once the technician left, the two collapsed onto the massage table to rest. It was then that Zhang Bo revealed the purpose of inviting him. It turned out that a good friend of his worked at a headhunting company. The person who had approached Zhang Fan in the hotel lobby was the supervisor of Huifei. Their client needed several experienced programmers with high qualifications. Since the client is essentially their bread and butter, they had to do everything possible to meet the requirements, which ended up on Zhang Bo's shoulders. Although I know quite a few programmers, there aren't many who fit their criteria. Most of them really don't care about that little salary. They focus more on the company's prospects and whether there's a chance to obtain stock options, aiming for financial freedom once it goes public. So, brother, just do me a favor and go for the interview, so my old classmate can report back. If you don't want to go later, you can just skip it. He is currently in a certain country, otherwise, he would have to host you personally. When he returns, I'll definitely make him make it up to you. At this moment, Zhang Fan was still immersed in the refreshing feeling from the massage earlier, eyes closed as he recalled the technician's techniques. With his strong memory and comprehension skills, he had already grasped about 80 to 90% of it. Can I know which company it is? What kind of programming are they mainly doing? Zhang Fan asked curiously. Do you know what the most popular game in the past 2 years is? Honor of Kings? No, it's a computer game. PUBG? That's right. Now the company has launched the mobile version, and the response has been good. Another company has fallen behind. But their development progress is unsatisfactory, and it's said that the higher-ups are furious. So where is the interview? In Pengcheng? The game studio is in Shenzhen, and the interview will be there. If you go, contact Huifei first. He'll arrange everything for you. And you won't have to worry about round-trip tickets or accommodation. By the time he returned to the hotel, it was already past 10 o'clock at night. Usually, this was the time to contact Li Hong. After her night shift, she would video chat with Zhang Fan for a while when she wasn't too busy. The duration varied since she often got interrupted by sudden work, but they would always connect during this time. Recently, Zhang Fan had been studying hacking knowledge. Top hackers are definitely programming experts, but being proficient in programming doesn't necessarily make one a top hacker. Although he had been interested in this field before, his skills were quite average, at least compared to the top level. However, he was already skilled compared to ordinary people. He had rich experience with various programming languages used by hackers, familiar with several major databases, various scripting languages, commonly used internet protocols, several operating systems, and the setup and encryption-decryption of various passwords and verification codes. Coupled with his recent intensive study, he could be said to have all the technical reserves needed to become a top hacker. What he lacked was practical experience in external attacks. As the technical lead of the game operations department, managing the game servers was part of his responsibilities and also helped him refine his skills. Thanks to his setup and maintenance, the servers had been running for months without crashing, and even lag was rare. Despite daily hacker attacks, most were from novice hackers, and even a few more skilled ones had never breached his first layer of defense. This made him both proud and a bit frustrated. He often simulated hacker intrusions on the servers, patching up all the vulnerabilities he could think of, and had not successfully breached any for quite some time. This business trip was just right for some practical technical experience. He first practiced on some small foreign websites, taking a batch of compromised computers as a high-level training ground. A computer infected with a Trojan that could be controlled remotely is termed a zombie. With the rapid development of the internet, various hacking methods were constantly emerging, and experts were also appearing one after another. The number of hackers was insignificant in front of computers that were almost unprotected. Only a small portion of the hundreds of millions of computers around the world can achieve comprehensive protection. For many organizations and websites in developed regions, it is like leaving the door wide open. Many computers are infected with multiple Trojans, making it harder to track these compromised machines used as intrusion platforms. Zhang Fan has now identified his first official target, a gambling site that has been aggressively advertising online. Trojans are rampant, hijacking countless small and medium websites. Just a single click brings up overwhelming ads featuring attractive dealers, with loud sounds designed to ensure you can't miss them, reminiscent of the brainwashing effect of past television commercials. The intrusion process turned out to be much simpler than expected, despite the presence of sophisticated protective systems that seem to lack regular maintenance. The server is located across the ocean, and the management personnel are in a Southeast Asian country, while most ordinary users are domestic. Zhang Fan quickly backed up their programs and data, carefully erased his traces, and then encrypted, compressed, and split the data before transferring it back to his computer through multiple steps. Cracking the programs posed little difficulty. Games like Baccarat and Blackjack allow the house to win consistently under the guise of fairness, as the house edge can be set and results can be manipulated at will. There are multiple such websites, and Zhang Fan uncovered a dozen using various methods. Their website operations and strategies are largely the same. Operators recruit members online and offline, encouraging them to recharge for games with incentives, employing pyramid schemes to promote further recruitment. The core principle is simple. They are not afraid of you winning. They fear you not playing. For gamblers, winning is merely a temporary phase, while losing is the inevitable outcome. During this intrusion, Zhang Fan discovered something unusual about himself. He could easily guess various passwords, even complex ones filled with random symbols. They would quickly come to his mind. And after several attempts, he confirmed it was not an illusion. Earlier, his enhanced memory and understanding abilities could be attributed to accumulated knowledge and the benefits of a brain reboot. But now, how should he interpret this situation? Is the world really like the Matrix, where everything is virtual, and has he become possessed by an administrator? Has he activated a cheat code? Putting aside the confusion, these gambling sites are built on ill-gotten gains. Zhang Fan employed his newfound skills to sweep clean the funds from their major accounts. He then deleted their programs, cleared their databases, and removed several backups, leaving them with nothing to show for their efforts. Previously, to exploit foreign resources through a small program, Zhang Fan had registered several foreign bank accounts under different identities, which now proved useful. Given the high risks associated with domestic funds, he anonymously donated them to several charitable foundations. After working until 1 a.m. without receiving a call from Li Hong, Zhang Fan sent a message to inform him that he was busy, and then he decided to wash up and go to bed. Chapter 6. Thai massage. Once his work in Yanqing was completed, Zhang Fan made a detour to Shenzhen. Zhang Bo's repeated requests were difficult to decline, and Hu Yifei was busy arranging everything, from buying plane tickets to booking hotels, making Zhang Fan feel like some important figure, which was quite uncomfortable for him. He arrived in Shenzhen in the morning and had an interview in the afternoon. 7 or 8 people surrounded him, taking turns asking questions, each one more professional than the last. If it were the old Zhang Fan, he would probably have been so nervous that he couldn't speak clearly. But now he handled it with ease and even had the presence of mind to ponder the identities of the interviewers. A chubby man in his 40s, who seemed to hold the highest position among them, asked the most profound and comprehensive questions, starting from the understanding and application of C language to advanced MySQL standards, and thoughts on the future direction of game development. He likely felt a sense of camaraderie with Zhang Fan, turning the interview into more of a seminar. What was supposed to be a 1-hour interview dragged on until after 4 p.m. The interview location was very close to the hotel, just a short walk of about 10 minutes. Zhang Fan strolled back and passed by a noodle shop, where he went in to have a bowl of ramen for dinner. Having attended the interview, he felt he had fulfilled his obligation to Zhang Bo, and the next morning, Zhang Fan took a flight back to Yanqing. His luggage was simple. Summer clothes were light, and everything fit into a backpack along with his laptop and a few pieces of clothing, making it easy to carry, even when transferring to the subway or bus. Zhang Fan, over here. Just as he was about to transfer to the subway, Zhang Fan was surprised to see Li Hong appearing at the airport, running towards him. Standing at just over 1.6 meters, Zhang Fan was embraced by his girlfriend, who was nearly 1.8 meters tall. Luckily, he stood on his tiptoes just in time to rest his chin on her shoulder, avoiding any awkwardness. Fortunately, Li Hong released him after a brief hug and switched to wrapping her arm around him. You just finished a night shift? You should rest well. Why come to the airport? You didn't come just to pick me up, did you? Zhang Fan asked. Of course I came just to pick you up. Is that a problem? Well, I'm very touched. And I also dropped Su Lu off at the airport. She's going to Yuqing for an offline meet organized by their guild. 2 birds with 1 stone. That's great. It makes me feel less guilty. As they talked, they walked to the parking lot outside the terminal. Taking the subway would be much better. Taking a taxi costs money and isn't much faster. Oh, you drove here? Zhang Fan was surprised as they stood next to a white Volvo. It's Su Lu's car. She'll be gone for several days. She asked me to drive it back. And the parking fees here aren't cheap. Do you want to give it a try? Li Hong asked, holding the car key. I don't have a driver's license. So let's skip that. Li Hong also appeared to be inexperienced, looking quite nervous as she focused on driving, not saying much along the way. Fortunately, there weren't many cars on the road, and there were few traffic lights. After nearly an hour, they finally arrived at her place. By this time, it was approaching noon. Following Li Hong upstairs, the elevator dinged and stopped at their floor. Upon entering the house, Li Hong greeted him and invited him to sit down. She tied on an apron and headed to the kitchen, saying, "Please wait a moment. I'll stir-fry a couple of dishes to welcome you." The menu included cold seaweed, salt-baked shrimp, potato stew with ribs, spicy and sour shredded potatoes, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, and a seaweed egg drop soup. Simple home-cooked dishes that would be quite hearty for 2 people. After the meal, they sat together on the sofa in the living room, naturally leaning against each other. Zhang Fan took a box out of his backpack and handed it to Li Hong, saying, "I have a little gift for you. Let us see if you like it." "What is it?" Li Hong asked, opening the box to find a jade pendant that was entirely green, with an oval shape and a cute cartoon horse carved on it, looking adorable. "This cartoon horse design is my creation. There's a jade market near the hotel we stayed at, and I spent 500 to buy a piece of jade material to get this little one made by a craftsman on the spot, with no chemical additives." Zhang Fan explained as he helped her put it around her neck. "You can design this? It's beautiful. I really like it. Thank you," Li Hong said, giving him a quick kiss on the cheek, laughing at his shy expression. "It's not completely original. We work in game development, and there are many similar styles in the concept art. After seeing so many, it just felt natural to draw it," Zhang Fan continued, recounting the details of his trip before and after the business trip. Although he had mentioned some things during their late-night calls, he hadn't gone into detail. This time, he shared everything, especially about the pendant, which he hadn't mentioned before to surprise her. Li Hong didn't seem too concerned about the headhunting company's high salary offer, but kept asking about the details of the spa. She was curious about the technician's height, weight, appearance, and even the accent with which she spoke. "That's not the main point. We barely spoke a few words. How would I know the accent? It was all Mandarin." All right, no more questions. You said you learned quite a bit. How about showing me? Give me a service. Let me enjoy it too," Li Hong said, lying back on the sofa, her big, sparkling eyes gazing at him enticingly. By this time, it was already late September, and the weather remained hot. Li Hong wore a loose light yellow short-sleeve shirt and pure white capri pants. With her alluring figure lying there, Zhang Fan felt parched. He forced himself to calm down and went to the bathroom to splash cold water on his face, washing his hands with soap before returning to demonstrate what he had learned. Clearing his mind, he picked up one of Li Hong's small, rounded feet, which was not quite proportional to her height, squeezed a bit of hand cream he had grabbed from the bathroom, and applied it evenly. First, he shook it a few times to relax the muscles, then used both hands to knead from the toes to the ankles repeatedly. Next, he pulled gently forward, then relaxed and pressed backward, aligning the foot and calf in a straight line for several seconds. After finishing one foot, he repeated the process on the other foot. Continuing with the massage of the calves, knees, and thighs, there were gentle kneading and tapping, moving the entire leg in various directions to activate the hip joint, and moving the calves to engage the knee joint. After over 20 minutes of working on both legs, Li Hong went from holding back her sounds to continually vocalizing her responses. After finishing the leg massage, it was time for the arms, starting from the fingers, one by one, then interlocking both hands, pressing and pulling, activating the wrist joint, shaking the forearms and upper arms, stretching in all directions, and mobilizing the elbow and shoulder joints. Since the massage was on the sofa, it was relatively easy to work on the outer arms, but for the inner arms, he had to straddle her. It was unclear which move was off, but suddenly, Zhang Fan found himself on top of Li Hong, and at that moment, the floodgates of desire opened, and they began to roll around on the sofa. The encounter lasted over an hour, with clothes tossed haphazardly around the room, and the two lay side by side on the sofa. "My lease is about to expire, and I'm planning to rent a place near the company on the edge of the 4th Ring Road. Do you want to move in together?" Zhang Fan asked the woman nestled in his arms. "What kind of place are you thinking of renting?" "I can't afford anything too expensive," Li Hong replied lazily, not even bothering to move a finger. "I'm currently debt-free and living alone. If you want to move in, of course, I'll cover the rent. I've had enough of sharing with others and cramming into the subway every day. It takes up so much time," Zhang Fan said, looking up at the ceiling while unconsciously stroking her. "Just right. We have a colleague whose husband works in real estate. I'll ask about it tomorrow. What are we waiting for? We still have the whole afternoon. Why not go look at places now? Hurry up and contact them." Zhang Fan immediately sat up. Having someone familiar handling the arrangements made things efficient. In just one afternoon, they viewed 7 properties in 4 different neighborhoods. In the end, Zhang Fan decided to rent a 2-bedroom apartment in a community not far from Li Hong's hospital, fully furnished and ready to move in. The community was newly built with excellent property management, and their apartment was on the 26th floor, with several upper floors bought by wealthy individuals for personal use and not available for rent. After signing the contract and paying 6 months' rent up front, he received the keys and declared that he would be moving in that night. "Why are you in such a hurry?" Li Hong asked, puzzled. "Our 3-bedroom apartment has been converted into several small cubicles with over 10 people living there, and we hardly know each other. It's too stifling. The sooner I move, the sooner I can have some space." "Well, there's no need to rush. It's almost dark now. You can stay at my place first, it's just me, and I'll help you move tomorrow." That evening, back at Li Hong's home, the two couldn't resist rolling around again. The next morning, after breakfast, Li Hong drove him to his new place. Zhang Fan rented a small bedroom in a 3-bedroom apartment, with rent still over $2,000 a month. He didn't have much to move, just clothes, bedding, and 2 bags, along with 2 desktop computers and a few other miscellaneous items. After several trips, he finally bid farewell to the place he had lived in for over a year. The place they just rented is called Zikiyuan. It was built only a few years ago and has a nice environment. The monthly rent is nearly 10,000, which is over 2,000 more than other nearby communities. Li Hong can walk to work in less than 5 minutes, and although Zhang Fan is a bit farther, it takes only about 10 minutes. They save at least an hour of commuting time every day. The day after moving, Zhang Fan received an acceptance notice from a gaming company in the city, but he politely declined it. He just started dating someone, and how could he live apart for work? He now feels like he has hit the jackpot. Making money is no longer a challenge, so there's no need to compromise. At Yanjing International Airport, Li Hong pushed her luggage out of the terminal with Su Lu, chatting nonstop as they walked. "Look at you, you've betrayed me in just a few days. Are you going to abandon your good sister?" "Oh, my heart hurts." Su Lu exaggeratedly acted out her feelings upon hearing that Li Hong was moving. "Our rented apartment is near the hospital, so I don't have to squeeze onto the subway every day. It's just a few minutes walk." As Li Hong spoke, she opened the car trunk, and they both stuffed the suitcases inside. "I heard that programmers are all introverted yet passionate. Is Zhang Fan particularly good at his job? Did you run off with him after he made you feel great?" Su Lu teased. "Why do you always say such harsh things? We have a deep connection," Li Hong defended. "I may be rough around the edges, but there's nothing wrong with what I say. Just answer the question, okay? So, how many times do you guys do it in a night?" Su Lu asked as she buckled her seatbelt and started the car, looking expectantly at Li Hong in the passenger seat. "Being with him feels really solid. We have great chemistry and align on many things," Li Hong said with a look of happiness. "You just avoid the crucial topics. What kind of charm did he use to enchant you? Don't you practice yoga often? How many poses have you two unlocked?" Su Lu joked. "With your build, can he even lift you?" "He's very strong. He recently learned Thai massage, and it feels amazing," Li Hong replied. "Seems like you've been indulging in some self-care." "Oh dear, my back aches. Can I borrow your man for a bit? I could use some comfort too." By this time, the car was driving smoothly, and Su Lu stretched her arms while letting go of the steering wheel. "What's wrong with that? As long as he's available, anytime works," Li Hong replied. Though she felt a bit unwilling inside, she had to agree. "Then it's settled. I'm serious. There's no better day than today. I'll drop off my luggage at home and head right over to celebrate your housewarming." Chapter 7. Lottery before finishing work. Zhang Fan received a WeChat message from Li Hong listing some groceries for him to buy and prepare for dinner since Su Lu was coming over. At the entrance of Zikiyuan community, there's a large chain supermarket with a basement level and 2 floors above, where they can find almost everything they need for daily life. Although the vegetables in the supermarket are a bit pricey, they guarantee quality and are conveniently located. Zhang Fan stopped there to shop before heading home. There is a small storefront of about 10 square meters on the left side of the supermarket entrance, specializing in selling lottery tickets. Outside, a large electronic display screen continuously broadcasts that the jackpot for a certain lottery has exceeded 1 billion, encouraging everyone to buy tickets. He had been encouraged by a colleague to buy a few times in the past, but never won even the smallest prize, so he stopped buying after that. The owner of the lottery shop is a bald, overweight man, likely in his 40s and weighing over 200 pounds. He is sitting with his back to the entrance on a reclining chair, chatting animatedly with several middle-aged men of similar age about gossip concerning the president's daughter from a certain country. "Boss, give me a few lottery tickets, random numbers." "How many tickets?" The owner, clearly annoyed at being interrupted, doesn't even bother to turn around. "Then I'll take 100 yuan's worth, using the same set of numbers." After hesitating for a moment, he decided and then paid with his phone. The lottery machine beeped, and a ticket was printed out. The owner tore it off and handed it over without looking back, continuing his conversation. Once back home, following the request of a friend, he cleaned the vegetables and steamed the rice before diving into work. The number of players in the company's game had surged, and the operations department was getting busier. Recently, he was writing a smart customer service program to alleviate the workload of customer service staff and enhance operational efficiency. In fact, this task could have been reported to the management, either to be developed by the programming department or outsourced, so he didn't need to handle it himself. However, after recently learning a vast amount of programming knowledge, he felt an impulse to create something. There are many smart customer service programs online, but most are monotonous and rigid, unable to comprehend slightly complex issues. Recently, he had been studying deep learning theory, and this was a perfect opportunity to apply what he learned by creating a highly intelligent, self-evolving customer service program. Ever since a certain AI defeated world champions in Go, deep learning has become a hot topic, and research in artificial intelligence has gained immense popularity. Initially, deep learning algorithms require substantial computing resources, but fortunately, the gaming company has plenty of servers and can utilize spare computing power during off-peak hours for early training. Immersed in something he enjoys, time flies by. He initially planned to work overtime to finish this part of the task. But after receiving a message from his friend about buying groceries, he had to bring it home to complete. Just as he finished a portion and stretched, someone knocked and entered. It was his friend. "Don't rush, wash your hands and come eat." "Ah, when did you come back?" He was puzzled, having not heard the door open. "You were so focused on your work. We've been back for an hour. Really lost in your work, busy man." Another friend popped out from behind. "Welcome, it's great to see you," he greeted, true to her role as a streamer. She had a phone set up next to her while eating, streaming live without interruption. However, at the request of his friend, the phone couldn't capture them both. "Everyone, look over here. This scrambled egg with tomatoes is made by me. How does it look? Are red and white stripes not super pretty? Let me tell you. This dish has it all: color, aroma, and taste. It's not only visually appealing, but also absolutely delicious. You only know how to cook this one dish." "No way. Of course not. I'm quite the kitchen whiz, you know. But since we're guests at someone else's place, showing off just a little is enough. How could I possibly steal the spotlight? This is at my best friend's place. We used to rent an apartment together, but now she lives here with her boyfriend. That has already been explained earlier." Dinner ended amidst Su Lu's incessant livestream chatter. Zheng Fan usually eats very quickly, but to keep Su Lu company, he had to chew slowly, bite by bite. What normally would be taken him 10 minutes stretched into nearly an hour. Su Lu's gonna take a shower. Later, give her a massage, okay? Sorry to trouble you. Li Hong stood behind Zheng Fan while he was washing dishes in the kitchen, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind and whispering right into his ear. "No trouble at all. It's an honor to give a beautiful lady a massage. Hey, how many more girlfriends do you have? Just bring them over. I'll make sure they're well taken care of." He laughed. "Uffed. Dream on. Don't even think about it. If she hadn't begged and pestered me endlessly, there's no way I'd let you get this lucky. Just behave yourself. Don't go too far. Don't worry. You know your husband has self-control. You can trust me. I'm totally immune to temptation." "Uffed. Have some shame. How dare you even say that? Oh, come on. How could she ever compare to you? If you're really worried, then I just want to massage her." "Oh, now you're playing hard to get. You have to do it. No backing out." Since it wasn't too convenient on the sofa, Li Hong arranged for them to do it in the bedroom while she went to watch TV in the living room, and even closed the door behind her. The atmosphere instantly grew delicate and charged. "Well then, shall we begin? Should I lie on my back or stomach?" Su Lu broke the awkward silence first. "Lie on your back. I've only given Li Hong a few massages before, so please bear with me if my technique isn't great." Fresh out of the shower, Su Lu wore only a bathrobe loosely draped over her shoulders, paired with a sporty tank top and short shorts that accentuated her curvaceous figure, her long, slender legs especially eye-catching. Thai massage requires using hands, wrists, elbows, legs, feet, and knees to apply pressure, making close physical contact unavoidable. Zheng Fan had deliberately changed into sweatpants and a long-sleeve t-shirt. Though he'd only experienced a professional Thai massage once himself, he'd spent hours studying online tutorials and had recently practiced regularly on Li Hong. His skills now surpassed many therapists who'd only undergone brief training. Su Lu had enjoyed plenty of professional massages before, including Thai ones, with both male and female therapists. Yet this most amateur session turned out to be the most unforgettable of her life. She deliberately put on this slightly provocative outfit after her shower, not without a hint of playful rivalry toward her best friend, secretly hoping to catch Zheng Fan off guard. Seeing the silly man change into such conservative clothes almost made her burst out laughing, as his strong hands rhythmically pressed, kneaded, and tapped along her feet, calves, and thighs. Su Lu felt something deep inside her awaken. She tried her hardest to relax her muscles and stay composed, but the more she tried to control herself, the more intensely the sensation built up, climbing higher and higher until it finally crashed over her like a wave, biting her lips with all her might. She barely managed to suppress a moan. At that moment, Zheng Fan had just finished massaging the last leg. As he gently placed it on the bed, he seemed to sense something unusual about her. He glanced over and noticed that the bath towel, which had originally been draped over her shoulders, had somehow been pulled up to her head, covering her face. "Hey, with such a big movement, you shouldn't be asleep." right? Why are you covering your face? Are you still going to continue? Zhang Fan asked curiously, but the woman remained motionless and silent. After calling her name a couple more times with no response, Zhang Fan stepped out of the bedroom into the living room. Li Hong was there, bored, flipping through channels with the remote. When she saw him come out, she asked in surprise, "Is it done so quickly? It hasn't even been half an hour. You can go check for yourself. It looks like she has fallen asleep." At that moment, the lottery draw was being broadcast live on television. Red-numbered ping-pong balls rolled out of the first automatic drawing machine. And with the last blue ping-pong ball emerging from the second machine, the winning numbers for this round of the lottery were officially announced. Zhang Fan had been casually leaning on the sofa, but as the last number was drawn, he immediately sat up straight. The numbers on the screen matched exactly with the ones he had bought in the afternoon. He had a great memory. There was no way he could be mistaken. This meant he had won the first prize on his lottery ticket, 50 times. He was going to strike it rich. Although he had a premonition that he would have good luck, there was still an uncertain, surreal feeling. It was hard to believe that a big prize had actually fallen into his lap. He stood up and started pacing around the room, clenching his fists and waving them up and down vigorously to express his excitement. Li Hong came out of the bedroom and, seeing him like this, asked curiously, "What's wrong with you? Are you in a hurry? Did your hemorrhoids act up?" "What hemorrhoids do I have? This is excitement. Excitement. We're going to get rich. The lottery ticket I bought this afternoon won." "Huh. Where are the clothes I just changed out of?" "I put them in the washing machine." "Ah, my lottery ticket is in there." Zhang Fan hurriedly ran to the bathroom, looking at the washing machine buzzing away. He suddenly felt dizzy, and his head was buzzing as he unconsciously walked back to the living room and slumped down on the sofa. "Why are you in such a rush? I took everything out. Isn't this your ticket?" Li Hong came out from another room holding the ticket. Zhang Fan took it and saw that it was indeed the winning ticket he had bought that afternoon. "Oh my gosh. This feeling is too thrilling. I was scared I was going to have a heart attack." "How much did you win to get you so excited?" Li Hong said as she sat down beside him. "You can check the results on your phone. The live draw just aired on TV. All 7 numbers matched. I bought 50 tickets." Zhang Fan slapped the ticket onto Li Hong's smooth thigh, casually touching it, then leaned back against the sofa. Li Hong checked the results on her phone. And the first piece of information read, "Lottery player in Yanjing wins a huge prize, claiming 28.6 billion renminbi. This round of the lottery had 58 first prizes, each worth 5.72 million renminbi, with one ticket sold at a lottery outlet in Haidian District, Yanjing, winning a staggering 28.6 billion renminbi, making it the third largest winning amount in the history of the lottery." After carefully comparing the winning numbers and the draw date, and confirming without a doubt, Li Hong began to get excited, pounding her fists on Zhang Fan's thigh repeatedly. "Ah? Really? Really? The prize is 28.6 billion. Stop hitting my leg. It's going to break. Goodness. Ah, just won the lottery, and now you're complaining about me getting old. How is that possible? Why don't we get married? And then we can claim the prize together? That way, it'll be our joint property after marriage. You'll feel at ease, right? We've only known each other for just over 3 months. That's too fast. I still don't know if you'll change once you have money. Besides, if I agree to marry you now, what kind of person would I be?" As the topic of marriage came up, the excitement between them gradually cooled down. Both were rational individuals, having worked for many years and experienced the harsh realities of life. They were no longer the immature young people they once were. "What do you think about buying a house first? We can save the rest of the money in a bank. The interest alone would provide for us comfortably, allowing us financial freedom to do what we truly love." Zhang Fan began to dream about the future. "That can be thought about later. You go to sleep with your computer tonight. I'll sleep in the master bedroom with Su Lu." After Li Hong said this, she got up to go to the bathroom. Lying on the single bed in the small bedroom, Zhang Fan tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Thoughts kept popping into his head. It was the first time in over 3 months that he wanted to sleep but couldn't. Unable to sleep, he decided to get up and continue writing code, focusing intently on his work, and his efficiency was indeed high. He worked until 2 in the morning and then went to bed, sleeping soundly without dreams. When he woke up the next day, Li Hong and Su Lu had already left. On the coffee table, they left him a note. "Breakfast is in the microwave. Heat it up before eating." The milk in the microwave was still warm. Glancing at the time, it was just past 8 o'clock. Li Hong had to be at work by 8. So they had probably left not long ago. On his way to work, he passed by the entrance of the community and saw a large congratulatory notice posted outside the lottery shop, feeling surprisingly calm. The chubby owner stood at the door, enthusiastically talking to the onlookers. "I've worked here for 10 years, and the highest prize I've ever seen was a second prize. It's really true that no one pays attention to the effort over 10 years, but suddenly becoming famous is known all over the world. The only one in the whole city. What a pity. How could I have not looked back at that moment? I was too busy chatting with old Wang about Ivanka, and I missed my chance to see the god of wealth right in front of me." In the following days, busy with work and in between writing and debugging programs, Zhang Fan actually pushed the lottery claim out of his mind until a woman called him. Chapter 8. The ex-girlfriend-to-be. Since moving in with Zhang Fan near the hospital, Li Hong found commuting to work much more convenient. It took her less than 5 minutes to walk, eliminating the need to wake up early to squeeze into the subway, saving at least 2 hours every day. After work, she no longer had to rush. While others were waiting for buses, she was already home. Today, just as she was about to leave after work, she was stopped by someone. It was Chengya, the nurse who had just started her shift. Chengya was a year older than her. When Li Hong first started working at the hospital, she attended Chengya's wedding. And now her child was already in elementary school. Chengya's husband, Li Da, was a real estate agent, and he helped them find the apartment they were renting. You've been living here for a while now, right? Are you getting used to it? Yeah, it's pretty good. It's close to work, and shopping is convenient. What's wrong? If you have something to say, just go ahead. After so many years as colleagues, you've always taken good care of me, just like my sister. There's no need to feel awkward about our concern for each other. Li Hong noticed her hesitation and felt puzzled. My partner feels embarrassed and insisted that I tell you that the landlord of the house you're renting suddenly changed their mind and would rather take a loss than honor the agreement. So you'll have to move. Chengya also felt quite uncomfortable saying this. What? It's only been a few days. That's too much. Your deposit and the full amount of the rental agency fees will be refunded, and they will also help you find a new place for free. But the time is a bit tight. They want you to vacate within a day, and your brother-in-law managed to negotiate it to 3 days. I told your brother-in-law to take it easy for the next few days and focus on helping you find a new place and move. With Chengya saying this, Li Hong couldn't complain any further. Feeling gloomy, she went grocery shopping, washed the vegetables, and cooked. She received a call from Zhang Fan, saying he wouldn't be home for dinner because someone was treating them. The person treating was a woman named Wang Xiaoyu, who had previously worked as a testing engineer on a project with Zhang Fan. To be precise, they weren't really colleagues, as they were employees of different labor dispatch companies, but they worked together for a while on the same project. Wang Xiaoyu was 2 years younger than Zhang Fan, had a great figure, and while her looks were not outstanding, she was not unattractive either. She had a cheerful and lively personality. She had expressed some feelings for Zhang Fan in the past, and he still felt a bit tempted, but thinking about his own circumstances, he had to play it cool. Although their romantic relationship didn't develop, they still had each other's contact information and would check in during holidays. She was the only woman he kept in regular contact with, and it was usually her reaching out. Wang Xiaoyu had also helped test the Night Watchdog mini-program Zhang Fan developed. They met at a Western restaurant on the first floor of an office building on Jichuan Road. They hadn't seen each other since that project. After a few years, Wang Xiaoyu seemed to look even younger, and her fashion sense was stronger. She wore a dark gray suit skirt, had a neat short haircut, nude stockings, and high heels, a typical businesswoman. Sorry, I'm late. Thanks for waiting. Wang Xiaoyu apologized as she sat down. No problem, I just got here a little while ago, Zhang Fan said while calling the waiter to order. The restaurant was having a promotion, so he ordered a 2-person set meal, saving quite a bit of trouble. While waiting for the food, they chatted about their recent situations and gossip about mutual colleagues, but suddenly fell into an awkward silence. Luckily, the waiter started serving the dishes, which eased the tension, and they continued to eat and chat, commenting on the flavors to avoid prolonged silence. I heard you have a nurse girlfriend. I thought she would come with you. She isn't very fond of socializing, so she didn't come. If you want to meet her, we can host you at home sometime. She is a pretty good cook. Oh really? Are you trying to show off? Wang Xiaoyu said with a half smile. No, I'm just going along with what you said. Alright, I won't tease you anymore. I just mentioned to you that I'm currently working at a startup that was established less than a month ago. The boss is a PhD who returned from overseas and previously led a research project at a well-known tech company. You wrote an app in your spare time, right? According to him, it's quite popular among programmers in a certain country, with very clean code and powerful functionality that hardly consumes memory. I told him I know the author, and he thinks you are the programming expert they need. He wants me to recruit you over, and the compensation will definitely be at least the same as what you have now. If you have specific requirements, we can discuss them later. If you make significant contributions, there might even be equity options. That's the main reason I'm reaching out to you. Think about it, and if you're interested, come meet with our boss tomorrow morning for a chat. Our office is on the 7th floor of this building. What does your company do? What kind of products do you make? To be honest, I have my doubts about them. They claim to be researching wearable devices, which sounds almost fantastical, like wearing a helmet that can sense brain waves, allowing people to play games as if they were sleeping. Of course, they don't have any products yet. It's just a group of people brainstorming every day. Wang Xiaoyu introduced it a bit awkwardly. I actually have some interest in this area. Let's meet at 9 tomorrow morning for an interview. At this point, Zhang Fan had already finished eating and put down his knife and fork. That was quick. I heard Zhang Bo say that to get you to come for an interview, he even treated you to a nice meal, and you only reluctantly agreed. Looks like I have a better influence than he does, Wang Xiaoyu said with a smile. What a blabbermouth. You tell everyone everything. You helped me test that program, and I've actually made some income from it abroad recently. This meal is my way of thanking you, so don't argue with me. Then if I don't contact you, I won't even get a meal. Hey, everyone is quite busy. I'm just planning to send out a few red envelopes in the group as a small gesture. Zhang Fan didn't directly confirm, but also didn't deny it, leaving Wang Xiaoyu amused. The meal, which could only barely fill them up, was at a promotional price, costing Zhang Fan 580 yuan. After leaving the restaurant, the two went their separate ways. After a 10-minute walk home, Zhang Fan saw Li Hong packing things up. What are you packing for? Are we moving again? You guessed it right. The landlord broke the contract and wants us to vacate the place. We have to move out within 3 days. Li Hong covered a box full of clothes and placed it in the corner. Let us just settle it once and for all. Tomorrow, I'll cash in my lottery ticket and we'll be rich. We can buy our own house and never have to worry about being forced to move again. Zhang Fan said confidently. 3 days to move. And you want to buy a house? Is that even possible? How would we know if we don't try? If there's no time, we can just stay in a hotel. Money isn't an issue. Zhang Fan rarely felt so pleased with himself. You're just being showy. A nouveau riche. Li Hong rolled her eyes at him. Enough with the useless talk. Let us discuss serious matters. What kind of house should we buy? A luxury apartment of several hundred square meters? Or something like this economical housing that's just enough to live in? I don't think we need anything too big. It'll be a hassle to clean. And if we hire a maid, we're not used to being served since we come from humble beginnings. Li Hong frowned. You make a good point, but it can't be too small. Otherwise, we'll have to move again once we have kids. There should also be schools and kindergartens nearby. Let's keep looking around here since our workplaces are close by. Zhang Fan suddenly thought far into the future. Hey, I haven't agreed to marry you yet. And you're already thinking about kids. You really are planning ahead. That's not up to you. I've set my sights on you, so you will marry me. Whether you like it or not. Kids must be born, starting now. Haha. Finding a house is a top priority. So the interview they had agreed on had to be postponed. On the phone, Wang Xiaoyu expressed understanding. They had been friends for many years. And finding a house and moving was a lingering pain for them both. In the internet age, many things have become convenient. Redemption locations and processes can be checked in advance, avoiding a lot of hassle. The redemption location was in a building in a certain district. And they set off at 9 in the morning. There was no traffic, and the redemption went smoothly. They verified the lottery ticket and confirmed their identities. And by 10 o'clock, they had the check for 288 million yuan in hand. At that moment, they both felt as if they were dreaming. This was the amount after personal income tax had been deducted. According to their previous plan, they would deposit the 200 million directly in a fixed term to earn interest, while the remainder would be used for buying a house and other expenses. Even the remainder, over 28 million, was a sum they had never dared to dream of before. Beijing is the capital of China, and those with over 100 million in savings are still a minority. Zhang Fan and Li Hong received VIP treatment at the bank, with the president personally meeting them and the customer service manager handling their business. When they mentioned they were going to deposit 200 million, the smiles became even warmer. Mr. Zhang, due to the large amount, I recommend you buy our bank's large denomination time deposit. Its security is the same as that of fixed deposits, but the interest rate is slightly higher. How many years do you plan to deposit it for? Here's our detailed interest rate table. The customer service manager, Wang Mei, was a charming woman in her 30s with a warm smile, handing them a colorful promotional brochure. The president has already instructed me that no matter how many years you deposit, we will give you the maximum interest rate within our authority. I see that the 1-year rate is 2.18, and the 3 and 5-year rates are 3.85. What is the highest rate you can offer? Zhang Fan asked with curiosity. For 1 year, we can offer you 2.8, for 3 years 4.5, and for 5 years 5. This is definitely the highest among the 4 major banks in Beijing. If you want higher returns, I can also introduce you to other financial products from our bank. But of course, you would need to bear certain risks, Wang Mei said sincerely. Zhang Fan and Li Hong exchanged a glance, understanding each other perfectly. Let us deposit the 200 million for 3 years, and the rest into this card, Zhang Fan said, placing the check and bank card on the table. So, does that mean after 3 years, we will have a total of 270 million including principal and interest? Li Hong asked curiously. Yes, that's right. 9 million in interest for 1 year, 27 million for 3 years. Your calculations are correct. Oh my gosh. That interest is something ordinary people would never earn in a lifetime. Li Hong exclaimed, suddenly feeling that going to work was meaningless. Then you don't need to work anymore. I'll support you. For a lifetime. Zhang Fan took the opportunity to confess. Chapter 9. Buying a house and discussing marriage after leaving the bank. The excitement of the two began to settle down. Although Zhang Fan had gained more from gambling websites, it wasn't his own, and he never felt wealthy. Now it was different. The legitimate income was clearly sitting in his account. From now on, he was financially free and no longer needed to worry about survival. It was time to enjoy life. How come I find you more handsome than before? That's because my back is finally straightened. Back to reality. They had to start with buying a house. Otherwise, they would have nowhere to live in 2 days. The two found a cafe, waiting for real estate agent Li Da to join them and begin discussing what kind of house to buy. The housing prices in Yanjing left Zhang Fan breathless. He had never deeply considered this issue before. His past thought was to earn enough money to buy a house and get married in his hometown small county, where the prices were still somewhat affordable. When it came to discussing buying a house, it was clear that Li Hong had more say. Women might delve deeper into this research. Li Hong spoke confidently about some well-known residential areas in Yanjing, mentioning both places Zhang Fan had heard of and many he hadn't, like the division of school districts and whether the previous homeowners had children entering school. In the past, Zhang Fan had been focused on work and had never heard of the concept of school district housing. Only when Li Hong introduced it did he realize there were so many details involved. Shouldn't we get our marriage certificate first before handling the house transfer? I'm the only one in my family, and I carry my household registration book with me. Don't act so pitiful. You're a genuine billionaire now. It should be me trying to curry favor with you. Li Hong pinched him playfully at his waist. They chose a corner table in the cafe, where the high back of the chair shielded most of their view, and there weren't many customers in the shop. Sorry. I got caught in traffic and kept you waiting. Li Da, dressed in a suit, finally arrived, apologizing while signaling the waiter to take their order. He placed the bag he was carrying on the table and sat down across from them. It's fine. We're in no rush. Li Gu, we're planning to get married, so we want to buy a second-hand house nearby. Please give us some advice. Zhang Fan said politely. That's great news. When the time comes, I'll give you both a big red envelope. So, do you have any particular places in mind? What size are you looking for? Any special requirements? We don't want to keep moving around, so we just want a place that we can move into right away. Thinking about future kids. It must have eligibility for primary school admission, Li Hong replied. School district housing, huh? That narrows it down, Li Da muttered while pondering. He took out a tablet from his bag and began to work. There are indeed school district houses available, but the prices are quite high. Most of the houses are older. Although there are new ones, the options are limited. I've just filtered some out for you. Take a look, and we can go see the ones that are similar in person. Li Da placed the tablet on the table in front of them. Brother Zhang, you should have your home purchase qualifications and public housing fund, right? Is there still a qualification needed to buy a house? Isn't having money enough? Zhang Fan was puzzled, and his words made both of them laugh. The housing prices are too high. The government issued this regulation to limit speculation. Non-local residents need to have 5 years of Social Security payment records in the city to buy a house, and they can only buy one. Li Da explained. What about Li Hong? She can have no more than 2 houses. If she exceeds that, she can't get a loan. You guys discriminate against outsiders. There's no way around it. This small place has nearly 20 million people. With such high housing prices, there are still people buying. That's why there are purchase restrictions. All right, you two stop joking. Li Gu, can you contact the Jinkiyuan for us? Can we go see the house now? Li Hong interrupted the two. Jinkiyuan was completed just over 2 years ago, with 3 available units, and the unit prices are quite high. Since the new houses haven't been transferred in less than 3 years, there will be additional fees, but compared to the housing prices, that's not a big deal. However, the new houses have relatively new layouts and more reasonable architectural structures, and the property management service is quite good, though the fees can be a bit steep. So you should be mentally prepared. Li Da muttered as he called his colleagues to get the keys and wait for him at the community entrance. Jinkiyuan is less than a kilometer from their rented apartment, consisting of only 8 tall residential buildings. The 3 units are in 3 different buildings. 2 are on floors over 20 stories high, and 1 is on the ground floor, all with an additional parking space. Li Da took them to see the 3 houses one by one. The first ground floor unit was clearly lived in, with noticeable wear and tear on the floors and walls. And both of them were not very satisfied. The unit on the 21st floor looked much cleaner, but the area was a bit small. The third unit on the 28th floor was the largest, well-ventilated, and the furnishings and appliances looked significantly more upscale. This house had been renovated by the owner but remained unoccupied for over 6 months and had never been rented out. The asking price was too high, or it would have been sold long ago. Li Da led the two around, introducing them. Originally, the owner intended to give it to his son as a wedding house. But just before the wedding, the son discovered his fiancée's infidelity, and the marriage fell through, leaving the house empty. Li Hong clearly preferred this house. She carefully checked every room, continuously asking many detailed questions, making it a bit hard for Li Da to keep up. What's the lowest price? If we pay in full, how long will it take to get the property deed? Zhang Fan asked. The owner is asking for 13 million, and the taxes are to be paid by you. No bargaining. Of course, since we know each other, I can ensure you get the lowest agency fee, Li Da replied. We don't have experience buying houses. Can you give us an exact total for all the fees combined? It would help us have a clearer idea, they requested. You can rest assured. I handle dozens of houses every year and have never had any issues. Since we know each other, I will definitely not take advantage of you. The main costs are the deed tax and stamp duty. The income tax is paid by the homeowner, and the other transfer fees and handling fees are just minor amounts. Lida said, calculating on his phone. In addition to the 13 million housing price, the various taxes add up to 760,000, with some minor fees waived. Can we sign the contract today? Does signing mean we can move in right away? You also know that we are quite anxious. My fault. The landlord of the house you rented is quite unreasonable. He insists on taking back the property without any flexibility. He'd rather lose money than delay things. I really feel like losing my temper. I'm truly sorry. I really apologize. Lida continued to ramble on. Let us get back to business. Once we sign the contract and complete the procedures today, you can move in. If you can guarantee payment within 15 days, we can expedite the transfer process. We know people in all the departments, and the landlord has a flexible work schedule, so he can assist you with the paperwork anytime. The fastest I can get you the property certificate is within 3 days, and at the latest, it won't exceed a week. This is not an issue. I'm very familiar with the process. This property has a good reputation. The developer and property management are well established and renowned. It is a bit pricey, but it is worth the value. We have completed several transactions this year without any complaints. The landlord is a balding man in his 50s, wearing black-rimmed glasses and looking quite amiable. Lida mentioned he is a researcher at a certain institute of the Chinese Academy of Sciences and lives in a nearby community, with his workplace just across the street. After receiving Lida's call, the landlord arrived within 10 minutes. The contract signing process was quick, using a standard contract format. Filling in various numbers, both parties signing, the down payment being transferred, and then Lida took both parties to the housing authority to apply for the transfer, followed by paying taxes and then waiting for the subsequent approval. It took less than 2 hours to view the house and sign the contract. But running through the various procedures took an entire afternoon, even for Lida, who is very experienced. Are we moving today? Back at the rented place, Zheng Fan and Li Hong collapsed on the sofa. Let us talk about it tomorrow. I don't want to move a muscle. The two were in a state of excitement and restraint all day, and now returning to their own small space, the physical fatigue was amplified. However, young people recover quickly. Zheng Fan's hands started to wander restlessly. Li Hong was wearing form-fitting jeans, and her long legs had undoubtedly attracted many gazes. Being touched made her feel a bit ticklish, so of course, she had to retaliate. One of the fundamental skills of a nurse is to give injections, which requires steadiness and precision. Li Hong aimed directly at the key point and swiftly took control of Zheng Fan's sensitive area. They exchanged playful banter. And just as they regained a bit of energy, the two began a fierce tussle on the sofa. It was a fierce match, from the sofa to the bathroom, and then from the bathroom to the bedroom, until they were both exhausted and finally called it a truce. Tomorrow we move, and the day after, I'll go home with you to meet your parents and discuss our marriage. What do you think? Zheng Fan wrapped his arms around Li Hong, gently stroking her. My parents are quite open-minded. I can make my own decisions about marriage, and I believe they will respect my choices. Zheng Fan, I want to make a promise with you. Li Hong turned to face Zheng Fan, their eyes locking, indicating her seriousness. A year from today, if you still want to marry and I still want to marry you, then we will get married. Why wait a year? We haven't known each other long enough. We don't understand each other well enough yet. They say that men become bad when they have money. I don't know if you will change, but let's give each other a year, so we won't regret it later. Perhaps after a year you'll be tired of me, or maybe I'll find you unbearable. Zheng Fan was at a loss for words, gazing into each other's eyes, feeling that any vows were unnecessary. Only time could prove true feelings. In fact, he also didn't know if he would feel bored after a year. He only knew that at this moment, he genuinely wanted to marry Li Hong. I don't believe in the kind of passionate love portrayed on TV, but I truly want to grow old with you. Zheng Fan expressed his feelings. I believe you are sincere now, but later there may be more beautiful and understanding women who will show interest in you. What will you do then? Watching Zheng Fan's stunned expression, Li Hong wrapped her arms around his waist and rested her head on his chest. What I like most about you is that you don't use sweet talk or insincere flattery to please me. I hope you will never change. Chapter 10. A half-hearted interview. Having just moved recently, this time the move was quite easy. The distance between the two houses was less than a kilometer, but it required a detour to exit the northern gate of the community and enter through the western gate on the other side. They packed their things in advance, found a taxi on the way, agreed on a price, and moved their belongings to the new home in 3 trips. The journey didn't take long, but packing and organizing on this side and then redecorating on the other side took quite a bit of effort, consuming a whole day. The new house had a layout of 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms, with all furniture and appliances provided by the previous landlord, all brand new imported items. There were several sets of high-end bed linens as well. The most troublesome item for Zheng Fan was not his several computers, but rather his customized detachable extended computer desk, which he designed himself and had made by a carpenter back home for the sake of easier moving. Reassembling the desk, reinstalling, and debugging the computers contacting the service provider to set up broadband, purchasing some essentials, and giving the new house a thorough cleaning kept them busy until the afternoon. They decided to cook for their first meal in the new home. Stir-frying was too complicated, so they boiled 2 bags of frozen dumplings. Are you going to work again in the future, wealthy man? Li Hong teased. The past few years of working hard to earn money and pay off debts had indeed been tiring, and he thought about taking a break to figure out what to do next. At least he wouldn't have to bend over backward for a meager salary anymore. Zhang Fan had become accustomed to Li Hong's teasing. She had been calling him that all day. How about we go on a spontaneous trip? The world is so big, let us go see it. He lamented, it's pitiful. I've worked in Yanjing for over 10 years and have never visited the Forbidden City or climbed the Great Wall. He pushed the idea, tears almost welling up. Oh dear, look at how upset you are. Don't cry, don't cry. Li Hong comforted him like a child, gently patting Zhang Fan's head. But can you go? Didn't you promise your former girlfriend to go for an interview? It's not an ex-girlfriend, just a regular colleague. All right, just a regular colleague. Regular colleague. I'm going for an interview at Wang Xiaoyu's company tomorrow, and then I'll resign. It's just a formality anyway. Zhang Fan made up his mind. First of all, I want to make it clear that I won't resign. I don't want to be your canary. If you want to travel together, I just happen to have more than 10 days of annual leave, which means we can visit several places. Li Hong continued to be clear-headed. The next morning, Li Hong went to work before 8 o'clock. Tech companies usually start working at 9 or 10. Zhang Fan lazily brushed his teeth and washed his face, then spent some time on his phone before heading to the interview, as a formality. Wang Xiaoyu's company is located in an office building across the street from their residential area. After crossing the pedestrian bridge and walking a few hundred meters west, they arrived. Because she had called him before arriving, Wang Xiaoyu was waiting downstairs. Our company is fully named Brainwave Dynamics Company, Limited, and the boss is Lu Yifan. With the first character being the same as yours, quite ordinary. He will personally interview you today. In the elevator, Wang Xiaoyu made sure to introduce him. Upon reaching the 7th floor, she led Zhang Fan to a meeting room of about 10 square meters and left. Standing at the door of the meeting room, outside was a vast empty hall with cubicles and a few scattered people. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Wang Xiaoyu brought over a man in his 30s, who looked polite and was dressed in a beige suit, with a brown tie and frameless glasses, resembling Sun Honglei to some extent. Hello, sorry to keep you waiting. You must be Zhang Fan. Please take a seat. Lu Yifan greeted him warmly with a handshake. The game you recently developed is quite popular. I've heard it has over 1 million concurrent users. Congratulations. Not bad. There are too many companies like ours in the country. Every day, countless companies open and many close down, Zhang Fan replied. I've studied your Night Watchdog mini program. It's impressive. Achieving the same functionality isn't difficult, but the algorithm is quite clever. Our company is in dire need of programming talents like you. Do you know anything about brainwave games? Lu Yifan inquired. I have some knowledge, but I haven't played any. Zhang Fan responded. Actually, the technology for brainwave detection is already quite mature, and many companies have mass-produced devices. What really distinguishes the levels is the analysis of brainwaves. I have some unique techniques in this area that, I can say without modesty, lead other similar companies worldwide by at least 10 years. Lu Yifan became visibly more animated when discussing his professional field. We have researched all the mass-produced devices available on the market, and to be honest, the experiences are quite poor, high latency, and error rates. Generally, the only playable ones are simple manipulation games. I hope to develop a native online brainwave game that provides a fully immersive experience like playing World of Warcraft, completely revolutionizing all current games on the market. That kind of game setup must be quite expensive. Zhang Fan interrupted his enthusiastic monologue. Well, the cost of various components has decreased significantly. As long as the gaming experience is well done, the sales can cover the costs. This is pioneering work with limitless potential. Mr. Lu, can I experience your equipment? Don't call me Mr. Lu, just call me Yifan. The company has a room even larger than the meeting room specifically for housing gaming equipment. The gaming device is indeed revolutionary, featuring a U-shaped frame that supports an oval, fully enclosed gaming pod over 2 meters in length, exuding a strong sense of technology. The pod is connected to the U-shaped frame, allowing for a 360-degree rotation, enabling experiences in both lying down and standing positions. This is a specially customized concept machine, which just arrived yesterday, with only 3 units produced in total, and improvements will continue to be made. Lu Yifan introduced proudly. The equipment just arrived yesterday, and only one has been assembled and calibrated. Since we need to share it among multiple users, you should go to the changing room over there to put on a set of gaming attire. Don't worry, it's all brand new and unopened, very clean. The gaming outfit resembles a superhero suit, a full-body elastic jumpsuit, but without a hood. It is white without patterns, fully covering the hands and feet, with the fingers separated, essentially combining gloves and clothing. Once inside the gaming pod, the entire body is secured. not in a full embrace, but designed with an inflatable mechanism to adapt to different body types. The head, neck, back of the head, and forehead are also secured, with a bit of space in front for a surrounding display screen, and a device similar to an oxygen mask for breathing. When the pod cover closes, everything goes pitch black. There is not only no light, but sound is completely isolated as well. Gravity seems to vanish suddenly, and one feels as if floating in an endless void. The body is restrained, unable to move. After waiting for a few minutes, it feels to Zhang Fan as if only a moment has passed. A faint light appears ahead, accompanied by a subtle sound of wind. His feet regain contact with solid ground, feeling the soft texture beneath, reminiscent of gentle grass. The light suddenly intensifies, forcing Zhang Fan to shut his eyes. After a while, he slowly opens them, and the scene gradually comes into focus. Before him lies an endless grassland, with blue skies and green grass, and he seems to catch a whiff of fresh grass and wildflowers. A warm breeze brushes against his face, providing an incredibly comfortable sensation. A crisp bird call pierces the air. Zhang Fan looks up to see a few wispy white clouds drifting in the azure sky, while a majestic eagle soars and circles under the blazing sun. He raises his hand to shield his eyes from the glaring sunlight, noticing that the eagle is descending lower and lower. Suddenly, it folds its wings and dives towards a gray wild rabbit located a dozen meters behind him, then swiftly ascends again. Zhang Fan turns around to see the eagle's talons have captured the rabbit, flying further away. Following the direction of the eagle's flight, he can see faintly undulating mountains in the far distance. At this moment, Zhang Fan remembers that he is inside the gaming pod. What a magical experience, so incredibly real. He hears an extremely faint sound of flowing water and walks towards it. A small river, a few meters wide, comes into view. Using the river's reflection, Zhang Fan sees his own appearance. His face and figure are similar to reality, with very short hair. Wearing a leather vest on his upper body and a leather apron on his lower body, feeling a cool breeze around his waist, reminiscent of being in neutral gear. A sudden sense of horror surged through Zhang Fan as he slowly turned his head, discovering a male lion standing up a dozen meters behind him, preparing to hunt. He quickly turned and ran. Zhang Fan had never felt he could run this fast. In just a few breaths, he had covered several dozen meters. The sensation of his bare feet on the grass was something he hadn't experienced in a long time. As he ran, he glanced back and saw the lion accelerating, the distance between them closing. Even more terrifying was that he suddenly realized there were now 3 lions, 1 male and 2 females. Goodness, was this a family meal that was about to happen? The incredibly real experience blurred the line between reality and the game, and all he knew was that he had to run for his life. At this moment, Lu Yifan was even more shocked than Zhang Fan. Across from the game chamber were 5 computers set up to monitor the game data. In the center, a 32-inch curved monitor displayed the game footage. This view was different from Zhang Fan's first-person perspective. It was a high-angle view like that of a security camera, but it could switch angles and zoom in and out. The left monitor showed real-time brainwave information for Zhang Fan, while the right displayed heart rate, blood pressure, body temperature, and other vital signs. Further right, 2 additional monitors showed the operational data of the game's backend. In this gaming experience room were a few people, all of whom were Lu Yifan's entrepreneurial partners. The custom game chamber had only been delivered the previous afternoon, and they had just experienced it for the first time. To be honest, everyone's experience was quite poor, except for Lu Yifan, the inventor, who understood it best and performed the best in the game. Others struggled to move their limbs and turn their heads. Every action felt incredibly heavy and difficult. Lu Yifan had walked to the riverbank in the game, taking an hour without triggering the lioness storyline, only to be forcibly exited by the system. It was precisely because they had all experienced it that they understood how challenging the game was. However, seeing Zhang Fan's performance shattered their expectations. They had all entered the same game chamber. Could the differences between people be so vast? They hadn't even learned to walk. Yet he was already running like the wind. At this moment, Zhang Fan in the game was also faced with a choice. This was so incredibly real. After running for more than 10 minutes, he was still being chased. When would it end? He was starting to feel fatigued. Was he really going to be eaten by a lion? Forget it, let us give it a shot. Zhang Fan suddenly stopped and turned around. At that moment, the fastest lion was already right behind him. Seeing him stop, it pounced without hesitation, its massive jaws aimed at Zhang Fan's neck. Quick! Look at his brainwave frequency. Several people anxiously watched the game screen, and one of Lu Yifan's colleagues exclaimed. On the left monitor, Zhang Fan's brainwave curve shot up instantly, breaking the upper limit and disappearing from view. The heart rate on the right monitor clearly accelerated, but all other indicators remained within reasonable ranges. Otherwise, he would be forcibly exited from the game. In the game, Zhang Fan's knee instantly bent, and he lowered his body to dodge the lion's throat grip. He shot out his hands like lightning, grabbing the lion's front legs, and with the force of the lion's lunge, he turned and executed a shoulder throw. Zhang Fan did not let go. Instead, he fell alongside the lion. And at the moment of landing, his right elbow struck the lion's neck, feeling the crack of its throat bone. This guy is really fierce. The few spectators outside the game swallowed nervously. The king of beasts is nothing extraordinary. Zhang Fan's confidence soared as he stood up and stared at the two approaching lionesses. The fallen male lion was the largest, while the two lionesses behind it, though slightly smaller, were still much bigger than Zhang Fan. The two lionesses circled around him, about 3 to 4 meters away, growling menacingly. Zhang Fan was not planning to wait passively. He lunged forward, rolled on the ground, and ended up at the feet of a smaller lioness. The lioness lunged for his arm, but Zhang Fan was on his back, curled up, with his arms protecting his head and neck and his legs shielding his chest and abdomen. Before the lioness could bite him, Zhang Fan's right leg shot out swiftly, delivering a powerful kick to its neck. The immense force sent the lioness flying, landing on the ground with blood oozing from its mouth, its 4 legs twitching, clearly on the brink of death. The other lioness reacted quickly, turning around and disappearing in a flash. Zhang Fan stood up, but was suddenly engulfed in darkness and fell backward onto the ground. Chapter 11. New target. When Zhang Fan opened his eyes again, the game pod had already opened. It was vertical when he entered, but now it was horizontal, and he lay inside, feeling drenched in sweat. It was as if he had returned to a hospital bed, surrounded by a group of onlookers. His brain felt exhausted, yet his body did not exhibit the soreness typical after intense exercise. How do you feel? Is there any discomfort? Lu Yifan asked. My brain feels tired, like I've worked a night shift, but my body feels light, almost like I'm sweating out a fever. That is similar to what we feel. So I'm relieved. You're still a normal person. Seeing him about to get out, Lu Yifan pressed a couple of buttons on the side support of the pod, and it slowly stood up, the inflatable restraints disappearing. The pod can also be fully controlled by brain waves, but this is a testing device. So that feature hasn't been added yet, Lu Yifan explained. Your performance completely overturned my understanding. Watching you in the game makes me think this device can be mass-produced. Man, you're amazing. A balding, short, and chubby man gave Zhang Fan a thumbs up. Seeing him, Zhang Fan felt as if he was looking at his future self, and quickly shook his head to erase that terrifying thought. I'm Wu Zhan, a graduate of Huazhong University of Science and Technology. The game scenario you just experienced was developed by my team. We'll be working together sincerely from now on. After Zhang Fan exited the game pod, Lu Yifan introduced him to a few other individuals, all PhDs from prestigious universities with remarkable backgrounds. Lu Yifan graduated from a prestigious university and holds dual doctorates in computer science and neuroscience from a renowned institution. He has served as a project leader at a major tech company. Zhang Song, a neuroscience PhD from the same institution, is an associate professor. Shi Xin, who obtained his doctorate in electronic engineering from the same university, has held the position of R&D director for a product at a leading domestic search engine company. Su Kan, with a PhD in clinical medicine from a medical school, is an associate chief physician at a top-tier hospital and is said to excel in performing craniotomies. Surrounded by several PhDs, Zhang Fan suddenly felt insignificant, having only completed middle school and vocational training, which felt akin to being illiterate. He had found the reason for exiting the game. It was the simultaneous significant drop in brainwave frequency and heart rate. Zhang Song's words caught the attention of a few people. No wonder he is so impressive. His brainwaves are more active than ours. What is the maximum value displayed? Su Kan marveled. During the fighting segment, the brainwave frequency must have exceeded 60. The equipment's monitoring upper limit is 60 Hz. So it seems this value needs to be adjusted. This is the most powerful brain. Su Kan's shining eyes made Zhang Fan feel uneasy, as if he were being analyzed for weaknesses. Zhang Fan, share your personal experience. Give us some feedback. Lu Yifan motioned for everyone to sit down, and the game display began to replay Zhang Fan's previous gameplay. It appeared dramatic, though the actual time was less than half an hour. As Zhang Fan explained his experience alongside the game progress, no one interrupted him. Once he finished, the footage replayed from the beginning, and questions began. You mentioned that the time spent in black screen suspension felt very short, but the video shows it was nearly 5 minutes. Lu Yifan adjusted his glasses to explain. This is a game loading process, and it also conducts a comprehensive scan of your body while generating a digital model of your character in the game. We intentionally set a 5-minute void to help players calm down and focus. Zhang Song pulled up the brainwave data from their gaming session, displaying it on a coordinate axis with different colors for comparison. Look, his brainwave rapidly decreased at this moment, equivalent to entering deep sleep within seconds. Compared to ours, Wu Zhan's was the most active, showing almost no significant drop throughout, while Yifan's was closest to Zhang Fan's, taking over a minute. Wu Zhan, what were you thinking at that time? Su Kan curiously asked. After we assembled the setup, I was the first to test the gaming pod. And for the first 2 minutes, I was just hoping it wouldn't have any bugs, not to embarrass myself or get fired by the boss. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to pay my mortgage next month. Wu Zhan recounted his experience in detail. The last 2 minutes, I started to panic. It shouldn't take this long to load. Is it frozen? Is there an incompatibility between the pod's configuration and the game? That shouldn't be the case. What went wrong? When the screen finally appeared, I found myself completely immobile, thinking, this is it. I must have encountered a major bug. This is going to be a huge embarrassment. Didn't you feel the breeze, the scent of grass and flowers? Sure Xin, who had remained silent, asked. I felt nothing at all. I feel like I'm about to burst. I can't move at all. How can I think about anything else? Wu Zhan said indignantly. I'm curious about that too. The gaming pod does have control over wind direction and strength, and we will add smell control in the future, but we haven't implemented it yet. Zhang Fan, are you sure you really smelled something? Sure Xin asked in confusion. It felt very clear at the time. Could it have been a hallucination? Zhang Fan was also uncertain. From another perspective, this shows that your brain is quite active and your integrative thinking is strong. You see the scene and automatically fill in the corresponding information, Lu Yifan interjected. At this moment, the game replayed the scene where Zhang Fan saw the lion and started to run for his life. Zhang Fan was running faster than the lion. Can this speed even be measured? This has already exceeded human limits, right? Wu Zhan, your game design has some issues. How many people can outrun a lion? Are we just giving the lion a feast? Sukin critiqued. The lions we set won't go into the water. If you run, the lion will only follow and won't actively attack. After a while, it will retreat. Wu Zhan defended himself. Who would have thought Zhang Fan would be so fierce? The game backend recorded that the lion's fastest running speed reached 22 meters per second, while Zhang Fan reached 25 meters per second. The speed of his elbow strike and leg kick was even faster. Is this human speed? The lion was added by me to stimulate brain activity, Lu Yifan explained. The physical data of the game characters comes from the scanning results when they first entered, which is proportional to the intensity of brainwave response. We have a comprehensive calculation model. Zhang Fan's strength and speed have reached maximum values. It seems we have a lot of room for improvement. The data settings for the human body were a bit conservative, Lu Yifan pondered. From Zhang Fan's description, it can be seen that his experience was quite intense. The danger posed by the lion triggered his ultimate potential. This potential is hard for most of us to evoke, even if it occasionally appears, due to physical limitations. It is difficult to reach the speed and strength Zhang Fan exhibited in the game. Zhang Tsong shared his insights. Therefore, we shouldn't rush to modify the data model. We need more tests and to collect more data. I believe there won't be many exceptional cases like Zhang Fan, he added. Let us do this. Sure Xin will be responsible for assembling and debugging the 2 gaming pods over there, continuing to test with the original model. While this one will have its data adjusted and be reserved specifically for Zhang Fan's tests, Lu Yifan decided. Hey everyone, do we need to order food? It's lunchtime. Wang Xiaoyu knocked on the door and walked in, interrupting their discussion. We won't order today. I'm treating everyone to Deshun Lu. Welcome Zhang Fan to our team. Xiaoyu, you come along too. Lu Yifan said with enthusiasm. Deshun Lu is a newly opened halal restaurant located at the bottom of this office building. Known for its specialty roast duck and unique beef and lamb dishes. The group chatted while eating, and the topic inevitably returned to the game. Wu Zhan and Su Kan were quite talkative, exhibiting lively personalities. Zhang Song was more aloof, with every word carefully chosen. Sure Xin, clearly more introverted, spoke very little, only becoming slightly more animated when discussing his area of expertise. Lu Yifan indeed has the demeanor of a great leader, as he strives to create a lively atmosphere while also considering everyone's feelings. Wang Xiaoyu automatically took on the role of a server, refraining from actively participating in the discussions. Since resigning from the pig farm and joining our company, I have been going through quite a tough time, but now I finally see a glimmer of hope. For this glimmer of hope, I propose a toast. Since we have to work in the afternoon, everyone is drinking beverages. Wu Zhan raised his green tea, and everyone responded in kind. I haven't seen your struggles. All I see is you having a great time with a few female colleagues every day. Sukin interjected. That's because you haven't seen my inner turmoil. Just look at my thinning hair, and you'll understand my pain. Upon seeing your bald head, I just want to crack it open. I'm quite skilled at that. Do you want to give it a try? Sukin replied without holding back. Showing off. This is blatant boasting. Everyone knows you're a surgeon. No need to keep emphasizing it. Little Su, you should be more low-key. Wu Zhan patted Sukin on the shoulder. The meal ended amidst the bickering of the two. Back at the company, Lu Yifan adjusted some data settings in the gaming pod, and Zhang Fan experienced it again. This time, he didn't have to fight against a lion because his speed had left the lion far behind. Following Zhang Fan's guidance, Wu Zhan retested it and managed to regain some face. He could at least move around in the game, though running was still challenging. Lu Yifan performed the best in the second test, achieving a speed comparable to an average person, allowing him to move freely in the game. Everyone conducted a second round of testing, and their performances were generally better than the first round, which filled everyone with confidence about the prospects of the gaming pod. Some shortcomings were also tested. Prolonged use led to eye fatigue, there were too few ventilation openings, and lying inside made it easy to sweat, among other issues. Before the end of the workday, Lu Yifan invited Zhang Fan to his office. I had tried to estimate your capabilities based on your resume, but you still managed to surprise me. I have been studying brain functions for over 10 years, testing countless types of brainwaves from various ages, professions, backgrounds, and IQs. Among all these individuals, you are the most unique. As an atheist, I must admit the wonders of fate. I am grateful that we crossed paths, and once again, welcome to our team. Zhang Song, Su Kan, and I are the founders of the company and also the main investors, with the total share capital being 50 million RMB. I hold 50% of the shares, while Zhang Song and Su can each hold 20%. Wu Zhen and Sure Xin each have 5%. But they have not invested, and their shares cannot be liquidated within 5 years. This means that if they leave the company within 5 years, their shares will become void, and their earnings will be limited to various salaries and bonuses. We have decided to allocate 5% of my personal shares to you, under the same conditions as Wu Zhen and Sure Xin. If you have any other requests, feel free to bring them up, we can discuss them. I hope to hold shares based on actual investment. I can invest 10 million. Zhang Fan spoke up. This is certainly better, as it alleviates our financial pressure. We can attract more talented individuals and bring our results to market faster. However, we need to recalculate our shares and revise the stockholding agreement. Chapter 12. Game development. After joining Lu Yifan's company, the travel plans of Zhang Fan and Li Hong were naturally shelved. No longer working just for a salary, Zhang Fan found himself busier than before. Previously, he was forced to work overtime reluctantly, but now, as a shareholder, he would practically live in the company, enjoying every moment of it. After numerous rounds of testing, the GamePod identified several shortcomings. Sure Xin was responsible for leading the redesign team, busy preparing for the second version of the equipment. The second version not only needed to correct the deficiencies, but also to expand functionalities that were previously absent, while finding ways to reduce the cost of components in preparation for mass production. Lu Yifan, Zhang Song, and Su Kan were in charge of the brainwave monitoring and interpretation, which was also a core competitive advantage of the company. With Zhang Fan's unique contributions, they made the fastest progress in this area. Many previously unclear aspects were clarified by Zhang Fan's test data, pointing their research in the right direction. The brain signals of an average person resembled unfocused photographs, blurry and difficult to interpret. Only those who had undergone repeated training could have their brainwaves decoded by silently reciting or imagining a specific word or performing an action, a slow process often fraught with errors. In contrast, Zhang Fan, who had no prior training, emitted brainwaves that were as clear and precise as a professional photographer's work, rarely making mistakes. This almost supernatural talent felt like a protagonist in a martial arts novel discovering a secret manual, capable of quickly mastering extraordinary skills, which left the three of them overjoyed. With Zhang Fan's cooperation, their research progressed rapidly, as if they were on a fast track. Su Kan joked that if they were to publish a joint paper, winning a Nobel Prize in the future wouldn't be difficult. Neuroscience, which includes both clinical and basic neuroscience, was the field they were engaged in. Su Kan was a prominent figure in clinical neuroscience, having published several influential papers in international journals before turning 40, making him a well-known name in the industry. Zhang Song had dedicated many years to basic neuroscience, focusing on behavioral neurobiology, studying aspects like learning, memory, emotion, sleep, and wakefulness. Lu Yifan specialized in computational neuroscience and cognitive neuroscience, using applied mathematics and computer simulation methods to explore brain functions. Although the Brainwave company was relatively new, the three had known each other for quite some time. Thanks to his exceptional memory and strong learning ability, Zhang Fan learned a lot from these neuroscience experts, acquiring specialized knowledge and experience that couldn't be found online. Based on recent research findings, Lu Yifan adjusted the previous brainwave sensing model, enhancing the GamePod's interpretation capabilities by an order of magnitude. This has significantly reduced the learning difficulty for ordinary people, making it easier for newcomers to experience it for the first time. Wu Zhen is responsible for game development, and his team has rapidly expanded from a dozen to over 100 people, with the scale continuing to rise. It must be said that Wu Zhen is a programming genius. He designed a brand new game engine architecture tailored for the features of the gaming pod. Although it currently only has basic functions, it can already run in sync with game development and will be continuously improved in the future. The testing scene of the vast grassland is the first product under this engine. Despite its simplicity, the experience it offers is quite revolutionary. With visuals that surpass all console games on the market, and future expansions will include tactile and olfactory features. The gaming pod must be paired with at least one genuine game for its official launch. After research, the company decided to develop a real-world shooting game and a mixed martial arts game first. Zheng Fan, who can defeat lions in the game, is certainly skilled in combat in real life as well, so Wu Jun naturally assigned him to plan and design the programming for the fighting game. Although he has watched many combat videos and various publicly available online tutorials, he has never actually practiced, let alone fought against someone. However, compared to other programmers, he does have a deeper understanding of combat. More importantly, Zheng Fan possesses an incredible learning ability. Even if he learns on the fly, he can impress many professionals. Not only does he know programming and game planning, he understands combat and has also studied sketching, is proficient in various computer drawing tools, and is familiar with 3D modeling and creating game textures. In less than a week, he has won over the dozen programmers and artists assigned to him, who now cooperate diligently with his work. Given the complexity of human anatomy and the variety of combat moves across different styles, a purely brainwave-based fighting game requires a high level of brainwave control from players. This game is more intended as a flagship product for the later stages of the gaming pod. In contrast, the shooting game has much simpler control requirements. Walking, turning, running, jumping, lying down, aiming, and shooting. Once players practice a few simple actions, most can get the hang of it, making the entry requirements low. The shooting game primarily focuses on the realism of the scenes, which is where the gaming pod excels over other gaming devices, providing a truly immersive experience. Zheng Fan discovered that the gaming pod could serve as an amplifier for his abilities. Utilizing Wu Jun's engine architecture, Zheng Fan designed a luxurious seaside villa as his studio. He can lie inside the gaming pod, testing and working simultaneously, greatly enhancing his efficiency. Without the need to type on a keyboard, he has truly achieved what you think is what you get experience. While others take time to type a line of code, he can output dozens of lines of code, precisely manipulating the computer through brainwaves, eliminating the need for a keyboard and mouse. Inside the gaming pod, he can concentrate without interference from various factors, enhancing his focus and significantly reducing the error rate. This discovery completely astonished several PhDs. If all our programmers could work inside the pod, even if only a fraction of them had his efficiency, it would be several times better. Wu Jun murmured. I think our gaming pod needs a formal name, as it's not just for gaming. Lu Yifan, as the boss, is the first to think about practicality. Don't be too optimistic. We've tested it with hundreds of people during this period, and among the over 100 people in our company, less than 10 can operate normally in the game. Zhang Tsung poo-pooed. I think we can be a bit more optimistic. It takes a year for a baby to learn to walk, but only a few days from walking to running. Sukin had a different opinion. I can create a targeted training program to speed up the adaptation process for newcomers. Zheng Fan can also participate in the discussions within the gaming pod. This is definitely a go. Let's prioritize it. When the second batch of equipment arrives, each of my programmers will get one. This is a productivity tool. Wu Jun exclaimed. The second batch of equipment will be ready in 3 months. This batch has 50 units, 30 for testing and training, and 20 for the top-performing programmers to use for work. Zheng Fan's tutorials have long been prepared, so dozens of programmers can directly use the gaming pod for their work. The tutorials are divided into 4 levels based on difficulty: beginner, intermediate, advanced, and expert. After completing the beginner training, users can operate characters in the game using brainwaves and also program using brainwaves, allowing them to work normally in the game. However, currently, most people's efficiency is still slower than typing directly on a keyboard. Those who pass the beginner training assessment can control characters to perform basic actions and experience shooting games. Since there are only 3 units of the first version, no one has yet passed the intermediate level assessment, except for Zheng Fan, who is an exceptional player. Only by passing the intermediate level test can one participate in the fighting game he designed, which has specific requirements for the precision and frequency of brainwave control, affecting the speed and strength of the game characters. Initially, everyone thought that the relatively easier shooting game was still under development and couldn't even undergo simple testing. Instead, Zheng Fan's team, which has the fewest members, managed to make progress on the fighting game and conduct combat tests. Unfortunately, no one on the team meets the combat testing criteria, so Zheng Fan can only fight against the NPCs he created to collect data. NPC character modeling requires a certain level of artistic skill, while the rest is purely repetitive work, with Zheng Fan only responsible for character design and leaving the rest to others. The design of character movements is relatively complex and may be difficult for others. Zheng Fan spent a month on it. He designed various martial arts styles including Sanda, Muay Thai, Karate, Taekwondo, wrestling, Judo, and many Chinese martial arts styles. He also included well-known styles like Tai Chi, Bagua, Xingyi, Baji, and Wing Chun. While martial arts may not be very useful in actual combat, many moves are visually impressive, and in the game, NPC characters can be endowed with high speed and power, making martial arts equally formidable. Further speaking, the techniques and routines are fixed. With equal strength and speed, the outcome still depends on each person's experience and skills. The most energy-consuming aspect is the intelligence of the NPC characters. Relying solely on traditional algorithmic designs can easily be figured out by opponents. Moreover, Zhang Fan has to fight against the characters he designed himself. Training NPCs using deep learning algorithms requires vast amounts of data and substantial computing power, conditions that the company cannot currently provide. Zhang Fan has devised a new algorithm that allows NPCs to self-evolve without consuming massive computing resources. This requires him to continuously practice with them, identify shortcomings, and make targeted adjustments. He only needs to spar with one NPC, and once the algorithm is mature, it can be applied to all characters. Fighting in the game is also somewhat theoretical, especially since all the characters' movements are designed by him, while he himself lacks real combat experience. Zhang Fan feels he has hit a bottleneck. He may have overestimated his abilities. He needs real-life combat experience to continue improving. Knowledge gained from books is shallow. True understanding comes from practice. Chapter 13. Combat Testing. The Combat Club in Beijing is one of the largest of its kind, training numerous students for various international and domestic fighting events, including many champions. Hearing that Zhang Fan wants to learn combat, Li Hong recommended this place, which is very close to their hospital, having rented a training facility at the Olympic Village. Their hospital has treated many injured individuals sent from this club, and she happens to know one of the coaches here. At the club's front desk, she inquired about his name and quickly found the coach. "Hello, you must be Zhang Fan. I'm Lu Yu, with Lu meaning road and Yu meaning ring." The coach is a standard muscle man, with a square face, over 1.7 meters tall, broad shoulders, a thick back, and a robust neck, making him quite intimidating. "I am Zhang Fan. I want to systematically learn combat skills here and ideally gain some practical experience. Come with me. I'll first take you through some basic tests." Lu Yu led him down a long corridor lined with individual training rooms, each occupied with people training. At the end of the corridor, they arrived at a spacious hall. The hall is approximately over 1,000 square meters, with a standard fighting ring in the center, surrounded by many groups training under the guidance of coaches. Each side has an entrance, and next to each entrance is a punching power testing machine, with a rubber dummy fixed on the testing platform and an LCD display behind it. Lu Yu casually threw a punch at the dummy, causing it to fall back and then bounce back. The display showed a number, 579 kilograms. Give it a try? Zhang Fan thought to himself that he might not have as much muscle as Lu Yu, but he shouldn't be too far off. He exerted all his strength and threw a swift punch. The dummy flew back violently, almost touching the ground before bouncing back. "Wow!" Lu Yu exclaimed in surprise. The display showed 791 kilograms, a number that clearly exceeded both his and Zhang Fan's expectations. He has been looking at information related to this recently and knows that an ordinary person's full-force punch is about their body weight, weighing around 70 kilograms. Even if he feels stronger lately, he estimates that he can only manage around 200 to 300 kilograms at most. Bang! Lu Yu took a stance and threw another punch, this time showing 601 kilograms, which is consistent with his usual level, indicating that the equipment is fine. "Bro, have you trained before?" Lu Yu asked, wondering if this guy is pretending to be weak. "I just occasionally go to the gym. I've never specifically practiced boxing or fighting. I've only watched a lot of videos, but that doesn't count as training," Zhang Fan replied, puzzled. "Aren't you looking to gain practical experience? Let's have a match then. You know the rules of free fighting, right?" "I know a bit. No attacking when down, no joint locks, elbows, or strikes to vital points." Zhang Fan recounted what he understood. "Knowing that is enough. We're not in a formal competition, just sparring. Come with me." There were several long benches by the ring, scattered with some gear, including gloves, protective vests, and some equipment he didn't recognize. Under Lu Yu's guidance, Zhang Fan put on the vest, headgear, gloves, and knee pads, then climbed onto the ring. Some people training nearby stopped to watch when they saw a match about to start. "Hey, Lu Yu, bullying newcomers again?" One coach teased from the audience. "You don't know anything. We don't even know who is bullying whom." This wasn't like his usual self. Was he already getting nervous before the match? In the ring, they lightly tapped fists, with no referee, starting the match themselves. "Come on, attack with all your strength. Let me see your power," Lu Yu whispered. Zhang Fan had never received professional training, but had watched many matches. Surprisingly, he felt no nerves during his first time in the ring. Imitating Lu Yu, he raised his hands to his chest, shifting his feet and keeping his eyes on his opponent, making small movements back and forth. Suddenly, he noticed Lu Yu's movements slowing down. Taking advantage of Lu Yu's forward rush, Zhang Fan lunged at him, landing a straight punch directly between his eyes. In that moment, remembering the earlier test, Zhang Fan tempered his strength a bit. With a thud, Lu Yu fell straight onto his back in the ring. The buzzing noise around them instantly vanished. Zhang Fan felt a bit at a loss, thinking, "Am I really that strong?" Seeing Lu Yu lying still, the coach who had teased him quickly jumped into the ring, checked his heartbeat, measured his breathing, then pressed on a pressure point while slapping his face. "Hey, Wake up, buddy. Wake up, you little rascal. Don't take advantage of me while I'm down. Lu Yu lifted an arm to block the slapping hand and pushed himself up slowly. Zheng Fan, you're too strong. It's a shame you're not competing with this skill. Lu Yu turned to the coach who had laughed at him, challenging, hey, do you dare to go against him? Sure, I wouldn't get knocked out by a single punch. You're Zheng Fan, right? I'm Wang Ben. Wang with 3 horizontal strokes and 1 vertical, and Ben with 3 cows. Nice to meet you. Wang Ben is about the same height as Lu Yu and doesn't appear very muscular. He gives Zheng Fan a sense of greater danger. His footwork is faster, with many feints, always maintaining a distance of 3 steps. Zheng Fan notices that when he focuses on his opponent, time seems to slow down. And he can clearly sense the other's weaknesses, with an attack move immediately appearing in his mind. During 2 forward charges, Wang Ben either sidesteps or retreats, always staying out of his punching range. On the 3rd charge, Zheng Fan suddenly spins and performs a side kick, causing Wang Ben, who had just thrown a punch, to miss as Zheng Fan's foot strikes the left side of his head. Thud. Another one goes down. The gym erupted after a brief silence. Had this guy been sent by the opponent to challenge them? Another individual with a brown complexion and a shaved head stepped onto the stage, standing at around 1.6 meters tall, particularly lean, bare-chested except for shorts, and wearing boxing gloves without any protective gear. Kaiwan wants to spar with you, shouted a young woman with a ponytail from below the ring. By this time, Lu Yu had come down and stood by the ring, reminding he's a Muay Thai coach, very fast with fierce kicks. Be careful. Kaiwan crossed his fists tightly against his chest and slightly bowed to Zheng Fan before stepping back to watch him. Zheng Fan mirrored his gesture, maintaining a distance of 2 meters. The two stared at each other for a few seconds. And Kaiwan was the first to make a move, suddenly charging forward with 2 quick steps and raising his left leg for a front kick. In the blink of an eye, his foot was already in the air. Then, with a thud, Kaiwan fell to the ground. Only a few people saw Zheng Fan's movement clearly. He had dodged to the right at the moment Kaiwan lifted his leg and kicked Kaiwan's supporting leg. Practicing Muay Thai builds strong resistance to strikes, and Kaiwan quickly got back up, clearly favoring his right leg. It wasn't a formal match, and there was no need to go all out, so Zheng Fan indicated that he would stop fighting. It's better to know when to stop, otherwise, they might really think we came to challenge them. The club manager, Zhou Haitao, had appeared at some point and was talking to Lu Yu to understand the situation. Seeing Zheng Fan jump down from the ring, he quickly approached to greet him. I am Zhou Haitao, the manager of this club. Mr. Zheng Fan, let's discuss this in my office, please. Hey, Lu, take Kaiwan for a checkup. Don't delay. In the manager's office, there were only Zhou Haitao, Zheng Fan, Lu Yu, and Wang Ben. I heard from Lu Yu that you've never had professional training and haven't fought in competitions, yet your performance doesn't reflect that at all. Zhou Haitao asked incredulously. That Kaiwan has fought dozens of matches in Thailand and won championships. We paid a lot to bring him here. He's usually quite arrogant. Yet you knocked him down with 1 kick. He's been here for 6 months, and it's always him knocking others down. This is the first time I've seen him fall. I really haven't trained, Zheng Fan replied. I'm just a programmer. Recently, I've been working on a mixed martial arts game, so I've watched a lot of materials and competition videos. Zheng Fan shyly scratched his head. You're already this impressive without any training. Imagine how good you'd be with systematic training. Wang Ben interjected. Are you interested in representing our club in competitions? We can provide free training and the most professional coaching team for you, Zhou Haitao encouraged. Zheng Fan felt a bit tempted but hesitated. I can't train every day. I have other work to do. You have both speed and strength, and your talent is exceptional. You only need some basic training now, since you haven't trained before. You might lack some foundational knowledge. I'm not sure about your stamina. High-intensity competitions can be exhausting. However, with your incredible strength and speed, your stamina should be decent. Lu Yu suggested. I'll think about the competition, but I can start with a VIP personal training card at your club. I want to systematically learn various professional fighting techniques. Let us do it this way. We'll give you a 50% discount on the card, and Lu Yu will be your personal coach. You can learn whatever you want from him, and if he can't teach you, we'll find another coach. If you end up representing our club in competitions, we'll refund your tuition in full, and you'll keep all the prize money if you win. We'll even give you a bonus, Zhou Haitao said, realizing that he couldn't persuade Zheng Fan otherwise and opted for a compromise to keep him engaged. In the remaining time, Lu Yu conducted several tests with Zheng Fan, and the results left him astonished. This guy, who claimed to not exercise much, had better physical qualities than some professional fighters. His strength, speed, endurance, flexibility, and agility were all top-notch. In terms of fighting ability, including explosive power, jumping ability, and coordination, he far surpassed the average person. However, the foundational movements of various fighting techniques were not standard or comprehensive since he had only learned by watching videos. So he still needed professional instruction. After the tests, it was almost noon, and Lu Yu insisted on treating him to lunch. After downing a bottle of beer, Lu Yu asked, Do you know why Li Hong asked you to find me? She said your club often sends people to her for injury treatment, so she knows you. Zhang Fan replied with a smile. I pursued Li Hong a few years ago, but she never agreed to be with me. I mean, look at my physique and looks. We're not short on money either. My mom is a university professor, and my dad is a company owner. Many girls are crying to marry me. Yet she just won't give me a chance. Lu Yu lamented. Maybe your conditions are too good, making her feel insecure. Lu Yu slapped the table. No wonder she took a liking to you. That reasoning is the same. Having good conditions has become a drawback. Who can I complain to about that? Chapter 14. Fighting competitions. For a while afterward, Zhang Fan dedicated time each day to learn combat skills at the club. The curriculum at the martial arts club was comprehensive, covering boxing, sanda, Muay Thai, karate, taekwondo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, judo, Chinese wrestling, Mongolian wrestling, and Russian sambo, all taught by specialized coaches. There were several retired national athletes in martial arts specifically teaching various boxing techniques, equipment use, routines, and other competition events. Lu Yu and Wang Bin are both wealthy young heirs and shareholders of the club. One of them is here as a coach due to his passion for combat sports, while the other finds it convenient for meeting girls. After being knocked out by Zhang Fan, he felt a deep respect for him, treating him like a brother in public and private. However, there was no chance for him to spar with either of them. Nevertheless, these two often arranged for him to face other opponents, and he had several matches, initially defeating his opponents quite easily. Later, Zhang Fan learned to hold back and no longer sought a quick victory, allowing him to practice a wider range of techniques. Although his opponents were weak, he indeed gained substantial practical experience, integrating various newly learned skills. To repay the favor, Zhang Fan agreed to participate in competitions for their club when possible, gradually understanding their enthusiasm for him. In this city, 12 major combat clubs organized a group combat event. Each year consists of 4 seasons, with clubs allowed to enroll 5 fighters at the start of each season, selecting 3 to compete on the day of the match. Matches occur twice a week between 2 clubs, with the format being best of 3 rounds. The losing club is eliminated, while the winners advance. Only VIP members of each club are eligible to buy tickets to watch. Each season features 12 club competitions, totaling 36 matches over 12 weeks, held every Saturday afternoon. The top 4 clubs from the previous season directly qualify for the next season's top 8, while the other 8 draw lots to determine matchups. The 4 winners then face the seeded teams, with victors moving on to the semifinals. The losers from the 2 semifinals compete for 3rd place, while the winners face off in the season finale for the championship title. The final 4 weeks of the year feature matches between the top 4 clubs of the year to determine the annual championship club. The 4th season of this year is nearing its end. The Yanwatang Club has welcomed the Thai boxer Kai Wan, maintaining a steady position among the top 4, even achieving 1st place in one season. As long as there are no surprises, they will participate in the final year-end showdown for the championship club title. With more professional fighters hired by other clubs, the competition has intensified, putting significant pressure on Yanwatang. This year, they had to recruit the Thai boxing expert Kai Wan to bolster their ranks, making it crucial not to lose such a gifted fighter. According to information gathered by Lu Yu and others, several domestic and international experts will join the competition next year, and relying solely on Kai Wan will not be sufficient. It's like someone brought a pillow just when he was feeling drowsy. One must seize such opportunities tightly. With genuine combat experience, the development of the game accelerated. Zhang Fan created a character named Achung, a handsome young man who serves as a training NPC. Achung is portrayed as coming from a martial arts family, passionate about fighting, optimistic, kind-hearted, and eager to stand up for justice. With the completion of the 2nd batch of training pods, everyone got more opportunities to train, and soon many passed the intermediate assessments. Finally, someone can assist Zhang Fan with Achung's intelligent training, which can be simply put as sparring. Zhao Gang is a former colleague of Zhang Fan, one of the few friends he has made during his years in Yanqing, and he is an experienced senior programmer. After Zhang Fan took on the development of this game, he recruited Zhao Gang to help him, and he passed the intermediate assessment for the game pod operation. When Zhang Fan is not around, Zhao Gang leads the team in their work. The requirements for the fighting game scenes are not high, so Zhang Fan focused his main efforts on designing the fighting rules and character movements. To simplify the process, he directly used the vast grassland as the first fighting scene for training Achung. Those who pass the intermediate assessment in the company are required to enter the grassland daily to have a fight with Achung. Zhang Fan moved a game pod to his home, allowing him to work whenever he returned home after work. On Saturday morning, both of them have been busy lately, and it is rare that they both have the day off to sleep in together. After a vigorous morning workout, they collapsed onto the bed. Li Hong turned over and lay on Zhang Fan's chest, lightly teasing his little flesh with a finger. How about we visit the Forbidden City today? Don't you always say you haven't been there? Zhang Fan replied. I really don't want to go anywhere today. Isn't it uncomfortable to just stay at home? His right hand gently caressed the smooth back of the woman. Whose fault is that? Isn't it your own doing? Li Hong laughed. Oh, daring to mock your husband. Let us see how I discipline you. Smack. A slap landed on Li Hong's perky backside. Ouch. I won dare again. Just as they were getting cozy again, Zheng Fan's phone rang. He picked it up to see it was a call from Wang Bin. Brother Fan, today is the first year-end match of our club, competing for the annual final spot. I'm downstairs to pick you up. So anxious? Isn't the match in the afternoon? Zheng Fan had previously agreed to represent the club in the year-end competition. My brother Fan, you really don't care. It's almost noon, and we need time for lunch, strategy discussions, and warm-up training. Hurry down, Wang Bin urged. By the time Zheng Fan and Li Hong got up, washed, and got ready, it had been over half an hour. Wang Bin was sitting in a black SUV, arguing with the property security. Bro, I'm here to pick someone up. We'll leave right away. Boss, don't make it hard for my brother. You've been parked here for 40 minutes. The competition is taking place at the Nerta Fighting Club near Wuxong Gymnasium. Their opponent today is the Nerta Club, founded by the well-known domestic fighter Wang Nerdu, who has participated in UFC matches and is quite famous among fighting enthusiasts. When Zheng Fan and the others arrived, the other contestants and staff from the training hall were already gathered. The club manager Zhou Haitao, Lu Yu, Kai Wan, and translator Lu Na were present, along with a tall, muscular man close to 2 meters in height and possibly weighing around 100 kilograms. Wang Bin introduced him as another contestant from their club, Li Fuxing. The year-end competition will feature the 4 clubs with the best performances this year, and the 5 enrolled participants must, in principle, represent their club and have competed in this year's matches. Given the fierce nature of the competition and the likelihood of injuries, each club is allowed to include 1 newcomer in the competition. Therefore, Zheng Fan, who had not participated in any matches, was added to the team. According to the competition rules, on the day of the event, both sides must submit the names and order of their participants during a pre-match meeting at noon, and no changes are allowed afterward. If any submitted participant cannot compete for any reason, it will be considered a forfeit. Once everyone arrived, they gathered in the meeting room arranged by the club. The room was spacious, with a conference table over 5 meters long and more than 2 meters wide, and it was not fully occupied by the dozen or so people present. Zhou Haitao began by speaking. In the 3 matches, the opponents will feature Jing Jun, Han Dong, and Lu Daoming. Our side will have Kai Wan, Li Fuxing, and Zheng Fan. At this moment, the staff set up a projector, and the screen on the wall began displaying profiles and match footage of the participants. Jing Jun, 28 years old, stands 175 centimeters tall and weighs 73 kilograms. He has a background in Sanda and possesses a well-rounded skill set, excelling in both punches and kicks. This year, he has represented the club in 5 matches, achieving 4 wins and 1 loss. Han Dong, 21 years old, is 163 centimeters tall and weighs 64 kilograms. He is skilled in Muay Thai, Judo, and wrestling. Known for his speed and agility, he has fought 6 matches this year, winning all of them, but his opponents were not particularly strong, making him the weakest among the 3. Lu Daoming, 35 years old, stands 184 centimeters tall and weighs 85 kilograms. He is proficient in boxing and Sanda and has participated in numerous domestic and international fighting events, boasting rich experience. This year, he has fought 9 times for the club, with 7 wins and 2 losses, making him the strongest contender. Everyone shared their opinions after Zhou Haitao concluded his introduction. Kai Wan has a 70% chance of winning against Jing Jun. While Jing Jun is capable, his willpower is weak. When faced with someone like Kai Wan, who is aggressive and daring, he is likely to falter, Wang Bin commented. The coaches in the team generally agreed with Wang Bin's assessment, but expressed some concern about the large-built Li Fuxing, as Han Dong's agility could counter him well. Li Fuxing, who was sitting near the door and is only 20 years old, remained calm and attentive, listening like a diligent student without expressing any discontent about the doubts cast upon him. Zheng Fan and Li Hong, being newcomers, had little to contribute. The most stable match should be Zheng Fan against Lu Daoming, as Zheng Fan is not lacking in strength and has a significant speed advantage. Ru Yu interjected. However, Lu Daoming is the strongest contender on the opposing side, especially with his rich competition experience and tenacity, qualities that Zheng Fan lacks. So caution is necessary, Zhou Haitao advised. The pre-match meeting lasted over an hour, analyzing both sides and strategizing for the competition. In the end, the 3 participants pledged to give their all and strive for victory, concluding the meeting and beginning their warm-up preparations. This competition can only be attended by VIP members from 12 clubs who have purchased tickets. As the match was about to begin, the audience around the ring numbered only 400 to 500, which was considered a relatively large turnout. Clubs that reach the year-end finals usually have quite formidable competitors. These athletes have gained some fame over the course of more than a year of competitions and have their own fan bases. A beautiful female host on stage introduced the competition and then invited the first match participants to come up. The event was not televised, so there were no flashy gimmicks. Many spectators cheered for their respective favorites, creating a surprisingly enthusiastic atmosphere among the hundreds present. The two competitors, Kai Wan and Jing Jun, greeted each other as they took the stage, and the referee announced the start of the match. The competition consisted of 5 rounds, each lasting 3 minutes. Kai Wan launched a frenzied attack right from the start, hoping for a quick victory. Jing Jun, however, remained calm and opted for a defensive counterattack. After 2 rounds, Kai Wan had not managed to defeat his opponent and began to tire, while Jing Jun started to ramp up his offensive efforts. The match continued for all 5 rounds, leaving both fighters panting and exhausted, but Jing Jun ultimately won by a narrow margin on points. The two engaged in fierce exchanges of punches and kicks, with Kai Wan sustaining a cut at the corner of his eye, while Jing Jun had a nosebleed and swollen cheeks. The audience of several hundred was thoroughly entertained, cheering loudly. Li Hong was watching such a match live for the first time and began to worry about Zhang Fan as she saw the two fighters covered in blood. "You're an emergency room nurse. You see bloodier scenes than this every day, right? What is there to worry about? Don't fret," Zhang Fan reassured her. "I'm not worried about you getting hurt, you know? How could you be so careless?" Li Hong playfully punched Zhang Fan's arm. "If they weren't skilled, Lu Yu and the others wouldn't have insisted on letting me compete. Don't worry." Just as she mentioned Lu Yu, he approached. "Hey, Zhang Fan needs to warm up. Stop nagging. Lu Yu, if Zhang Fan gets hurt, I'll hold you responsible." Li Hong exclaimed. "Oh dear, my little aunt. You should worry about others instead. In this small competition, Zhang Fan is like a nuclear weapon." At that moment, a wave of cheers erupted from the audience. Turning to look at the stage, the second match had just started and already ended. It turned out that Li Fuxing, who had just taken the stage, launched a lightning-fast attack after the referee announced the start. Han Dong managed to dodge the incoming jab, but couldn't avoid the subsequent hook, receiving a heavy punch to the head and getting knocked out immediately. The final match, the highlight of the day, was about to begin, featuring Zhang Fan against Lu Daoming from the Nuda Club. In the past decade, the domestic fighting scene has seen a surge of events, with significant ones including Wulin Feng, Kunlun Fight, a Mei Legend, and Glory of Warriors. The popularity of these events has led to a substantial social impact, resulting in increased earnings for the fighters. Consequently, more people are getting involved, more professional fighting clubs are being established, newcomers receive better training, and their fighting abilities become stronger, leading to faster fame. Lu Daoming, who is over 35, is considered an elder in this field, especially as he hasn't yet made a name for himself and his skills are beginning to decline, making it increasingly difficult for him to compete in top-level events. This year, persuaded by his old friend Wang Nuda, he came to Yanjing to participate in amateur competitions. With his decent skills and rich competition experience, Lu Daoming was thriving in this environment. When Lu Daoming heard that today's opponent was a newcomer, he felt a bit cautious. After all, young newcomers on the professional circuit had left a deep impression on him. It wasn't until others pointed out his opponent's appearance before the match, describing him as a short, chubby man in his 30s flirting with women, that Lu felt more at ease. The club had gathered information indicating that the opponent was named Zhang Fan, who had recently joined the training hall and had no formal training or competition experience. It seemed he was just a casual player. Without muscles or weight, he posed little threat. Lu Daoming labeled his opponent, having faced several like him this year. Most of these individuals had watched a few combat matches, were fired up, trained at the club for a while, and, encouraged by the coaches due to some talent, signed up for competitions. Lu taught them with his fists each time, without long-term professional training, relying solely on a bit of talent. They could only become cannon fodder in the fighting arena. After the last match, where the hefty Li Fuxing quickly knocked out the smaller Han Dong, Zhang Fan was generally not favored in this match, which featured a significant size disparity. These matches required fighters to be bare-chested and were only shorts. Lu Daoming, standing at 184 meters with a muscular physique, contrasted sharply with Zhang Fan, who was 165 meters tall and had a slight belly, showing only a hint of muscle in his arms and chest. As the match began, Lu Daoming stepped forward and unleashed a combination of punches, hoping to replicate Li Fuxing's quick finish. With the advantage of height and long legs, Lu's arms only needed to extend straight out to be level with Zhang Fan's head. For Zhang to hit Lu's head, he would have to raise his arms high. The audience erupted in excitement, anticipating another quick KO due to the over 20-centimeter height difference. Li Hong closed her eyes in worry. Lu Yu held a small camera to record the video. Wang Ben bet, with Zhou Haitao, that the match would end in the first round. Most of the audience did not favor Zhang Fan, except for a few from the training hall who had seen him fight and still held confidence in him. Soon, the excited crowd fell silent, taken aback. On stage, Zhang Fan retreated 3 steps with every breath, while Lu Daoming's lightning-fast punches landed nowhere. Lu, an experienced fighter, noticed his continuous attacks had not succeeded, feigned a punch, and quickly retreated, creating distance between them again. They stared at each other in a brief standoff, with Liu taking a few seconds to adjust his breathing and steps. This time, he threw just one straight punch, and upon realizing it missed, he quickly backed off again. The audience saw the bulky Liu Daoming launching wave after wave of attacks, but unfortunately, his swift punches always found empty air after several rounds of offense. He hadn't even grazed Zhang Fan. At the end of the first round, Liu was panting heavily, drenched in sweat. In contrast, Zhang Fan moved lightly, as if he had just gone for a morning jog, running 2 laps around the ring without breaking a sweat. As he reached the corner of the ring to rest, Liu Yu handed him a towel, and Wang Bin offered a water bottle. No need, I'm just getting warmed up. Fan Gu, if Liu Daoming hears what you just said, he won't even need to compete. He'll be so furious he might faint. Wang Bin laughed. As the second round began, after 2 unsuccessful attacks, Liu Daoming started to stand his ground and no longer initiated any attacks. The audience lost the initial excitement, seeing both fighters inactive. Some started to shout derogatory remarks. Zhang Fan realized that continuing to drag this out was pointless, as it seemed the opponent's strength was limited. Suddenly, he dashed across to the opponent's front, and Liu Daoming instinctively threw a left hook, but unfortunately, just as his fist swung, Zhang Fan's right punch struck him in the chest. The 185-meter-tall strong man was surprisingly knocked airborne by a single punch, then crashed heavily onto the ring. The referee was taken aback by this scene and stood frozen for several seconds before pausing the match. Liu Daoming woke up several minutes later. It was just a brief blackout, and after resting for a while, he was fine. The audience indeed witnessed the second knockout of the day and cheered with excitement. Likely enough to boast to others for a long time, the Yanjing Fighting Club secured a victory over the Nuda Club in a best-of-3 match, earning the qualification to participate in the year-end finals. As a result, Zhang Fan's name began to spread in the Yanjing fighting circle. Major clubs started inquiring about his background. Some even obtained his contact information and continuously probed whether he intended to switch clubs. This forced him to reject all unknown calls and deny new friend requests on social media, allowing things to quiet down significantly. However, this was temporarily irrelevant to him. His next appearance would be the finals, which was half a month away, so Zhang Fan returned to his busy work. As Zhang Fan entered the game pod, darkness enveloped him, and his mind gradually calmed. A gentle breeze brushed against him, and when he opened his eyes, he saw a blue sky, lush grass, and an endless expanse of prairie. Bang, 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 bang. In the distance, there was a small wooden cabin, with several large frames made from logs in front, hung with numerous sandbags over a meter long. A boy around 16 or 17 was incessantly striking the sandbags. Sweat soaked his hair and drenched his tank top, yet he continued to practice tirelessly. Achung, stop for a moment. Let me see if you've made any progress. Zhang Fan called out, interrupting the boy's practice. The boy, Achung, turned to see Zhang Fan and ran over, joyfully exclaiming, Master, you're here. To cultivate a highly intelligent NPC, Achung's modeling employed a special algorithm. This virtual character was constructed by completely mimicking Zhang Fan's brainwave thought model from the game pod. The visual effects, sounds, and other sensations he experienced while interacting with others in the game were identical to those of a human, processed through a special image and audio algorithm designed by Zhang Fan. This unique comprehensive parsing algorithm was born from recent discussions between Zhang Fan, Liu Yifan, Zhang Tsong, and Su Kan, where they gained insights into the information processing mechanisms of the human brain, leading to a moment of inspiration. Although the algorithm was still quite rudimentary and rough, it represented a new artificial intelligence pathway distinct from deep learning theories. It took countless efforts just to help Achung recognize different people and respond appropriately. This is also the reason why Zhang Fan has been frequently working overtime lately and often busy until late at night when he returns home. Having other colleagues in the company spar with Achung is secondary. The main purpose is to train Achung's recognition and responsibilities. Achung's combat skills are already sufficient to easily defeat those who have just completed intermediate training, but to Zhang Fan, that's not enough, as he has been knocked down easily dozens of times. Fortunately, Achung has been programmed with a tenacious character, becoming more resilient with each setback. This kind of setback doesn't affect him at all and only drives him to train harder. Master, the people you brought are too weak. It's not satisfying to fight them at all. Achung complained actively. You shouldn't always be silent when sparring with them. You need to communicate more. Just like I guide you. Teach them more, so everyone can improve together. That's so troublesome. I often can't understand what they say. If you don't understand, ask more questions until you do. Don't be shy. Okay, got it. Thank you, Master. Exiting the scene of the grassland, Zhang Fan entered the setting of a seaside villa and began checking the changes in Achung's code in the game server's backend. With Achung's continuous training every day, his code would grow and diminish within the framework set by Zhang Fan, while the data in his exclusive memory database kept increasing as the number of sparring partners grew. The data in Qing's memory database showed exponential growth recently. This rate of increase was somewhat beyond Zhang Fan's expectations, and if not resolved quickly, the server's storage would soon be filled. Simply expanding the server storage would lead to slower retrieval speeds as the data increased, which would also slow down Qing's reaction speed. A solution had to be found to enable Qing to remember vast amounts of information like a human brain without significantly increasing server storage. Unable to think of a solution for the moment, Zhang Fan casually browsed through the newly added memory data of Qing and quickly discovered some unexpected things. Each project team in the company has its own independent server, and for security reasons, these servers are usually in separate networks. Each person can only access servers within their permission range. Due to his special capability, Zhang Fan participates in multiple projects, and his access rights are only second to Liu Yifan, allowing him to access all servers, with super admin privileges on most of them. Due to Qing's uniqueness, Zhang Fan had specifically stored him on a separate server, usually only connecting to the game pod server, and these two servers cannot directly access other servers, nor can they access the external network. Now, Qing's memory data contains a large amount of content from other servers and the external network. The walls of the seaside villa displayed scenes from the grassland, and beside the small wooden house, Qing was still tirelessly hitting the sandbag, looking completely normal. What exactly went wrong? Chapter 16. Unexpected developments. Don't think about problems that can't be solved for now. Set aside what can't be resolved. Just in time, Zhang Fan encountered Li Hong on a break and pulled him to visit the Forbidden City. Last time I couldn't make it, but this time I wasn't disturbed at all. After entering through the main gate, I walked north along the central axis. Although I had never visited the palace before, I had learned quite a bit about it online, including numerous pictures, videos, and historical anecdotes. I visited 2 bronze lions, each over 4 meters tall. While other families could only use stone lions for protection, the imperial family used bronze lions, and they were extra large. The stone bases alone were over 2 meters tall, and the bronze lions also stood more than 2 meters high, making it necessary to look up at them from below. The Hall of Supreme Harmony Plaza, praised by many experts and social media influencers, is said to have a foundation of 15 layers of bricks and stones arranged in a haphazard manner, all incredibly flat. Even the royal courtyard paid such attention to detail. The stones beneath were not visible. In any case, many of the surface stones were worn and damaged from being stepped on. Unfortunately, we could only stroll around the courtyard, as entry into the buildings was not allowed. At most, we could stand at the doorway and gaze at the golden imperial throne. After all, there were too many visitors, with tens of thousands each day, making it easy to wear down the thresholds. Last year, 2 historical dramas set in the palace became popular, and it seems that the palace benefited from this, as the number of tourists reportedly increased. After visiting the 3 main halls along the central axis, the Hall of Supreme Harmony, the Hall of Central Harmony, and the Hall of Preserved Harmony, I followed a group of visitors led by Li Hong to the eastern 6 palaces, including Jingren Palace and Chengqian Palace, with a focus on visiting the Palace of Longevity. Unfortunately, it was quite different from what I had seen in the dramas. There was a half-finished construction project in the middle of the courtyard, which was said to have begun when Puyi ascended the throne but was halted when the Qing dynasty fell, leaving it unfinished for over 100 years. The surrounding area had been converted into storage, and it was now a research institute for ancient books, paintings, and ceramics, which we couldn't enter. Thanks to the popularity of the dramas, there were still quite a few tourists visiting the Palace of Longevity. We followed several groups and listened for free to a few tour guides explaining the past and present of the palace. On the other hand, Jingren Palace and Chengqian Palace retained their original appearances. It is said that Kangxi was born in Jingren Palace, and according to one tour guide's research, the famous Empress Dowager Zhenhuan, mother of Qianlong, also lived there, as well as the unfortunate Emperor Guangxu's beloved concubine, Zhenfei. Chengqian Palace was home to the most famous figure, the favored concubine of Xuanji, Dong Yifei, but unfortunately, both of them did not live long. Following a tour guide's group, after visiting Chengqian Palace, we returned to the central axis. We visited the most common palaces seen in various films and dramas, the Palace of Heavenly Purity and the Palace of Earthly Tranquility, along with the Hall of Union in between. It is indeed a royal palace, and the names are quite meaningful. According to another tour guide, the emperors and empresses of the Qing dynasty did not always reside in these 2 palaces. The Palace of Heavenly Purity was said to be too large and spacious, making it cold in winter and hot in summer. Thus, in his later years, Kangxi moved to the nearby Palace of Nourishing Heart, and his descendants continued this tradition. By the time of the Qing dynasty, the Palace of Earthly Tranquility had become the bridal chamber for emperors, and only the empresses of Xuanji, Kangxi, Tongji, and Guangxu were carried in through the main gates. At other times, the empresses of the Qing could only find places to stay in the eastern and western 6 palaces. The most esteemed couple in the world, surprisingly, has been living separately for years. No wonder the internal strife in the palace never ceases. Is it you who knows more? Or is it the tour guide? Li Hong interrupted Zhang Fan's complaints. All right, let's stop talking. Are we still following them? Let's wait a moment and join the group behind us. Following an unknown group of tourists, they deviated from the central axis and headed to the western 6 palaces for a visit. First, they visited the Yongshou Palace, the closest to the emperor's residences, Qianqing Palace and Yangqing Palace. Due to fires and fasting, both Emperor Wanli and Emperor Chongzhen of the Ming dynasty had lived here. According to the tour guide's tidbits, the most romantic emperor in history, Emperor Xiaozong of Ming, Zhu Yuzhong, once had his mother, Ji, live here. However, Ji's father was a local chieftain in Guangxi who was involved in a rebellion and was killed. Ji, captured and brought to the palace, started as an ordinary palace maid. Due to the illness of the consort she served, Ji became a substitute and gained the emperor's favor, eventually becoming pregnant with Zhu Yuzhong. At that time, the emperor favored consort Wan, and whenever any concubine became pregnant, consort Wan would provide a bowl of abortion medicine. Ji, however, took the medicine and surprisingly did not miscarry, allowing Zhu Yuzhong to be born in secret and raised by loyal eunuchs. Ji died a few years later. One theory suggests she took her own life to protect her son, while another claims she was persecuted by consort Wan. The truth may only be known to heaven. Perhaps because of this, after ascending the throne, Zhu Yuzhong did not take any concubines during his 18-year reign and only married Empress Zhang. Historical records note that the two lived together as a typical couple, deeply affectionate, which is unique among all emperors in history. To the north of Yongshou Palace is Yikuan Palace, where the favored consort of Emperor Wanli, consort Zheng, once resided. To establish her son as the crown prince, Wanli, in a fit of pique against opposing ministers, did not attend court for over 20 years, but unfortunately, he never achieved his wish before his death. The favored consort of Kangxi, the favored consort of Yongzheng, and the second empress of Qianlong, who inspired the character in Rui's royal love in the palace, all lived here for extended periods. Further north from Yikuan Palace is the more popular Chushou Palace. The first empress of Qianlong, Fu Cha, and the third empress, Wei Jia, who was the prototype of the main character and story of Yanxi Palace, lived here until their deaths. Starting from Qianlong, empresses of Jiaqing, Daoguang, Xianfeng, Tongji, and the last emperor Puyi all resided here. Among them, the most famous is Empress Dowager Cixi, who ruled for over 50 years at the end of the Qing dynasty. When Cixi first entered the palace, she held the title of a noble lady and lived in the back hall of Chushou Palace, where she gave birth to the only son of Xianfeng, Tongji, and began her rise to power. After her 50th birthday, Cixi moved back to Chushou Palace and spent hundreds of thousands of taels on renovations. The layout of Chushou Palace today remains largely as it was back then. The last owner of Chushou Palace was Wan Rong, the Empress of Puyi, who introduced Western cuisine, piano, and Western-style bathtubs here, preserving them to this day. However, when Wan Rong entered the palace, the Qing dynasty had already fallen for 10 years, and after living in the Forbidden City for less than 2 years, she and Puyi were expelled by Feng Yuxiang. From now on, the palace forbidden area that has been closed for hundreds of years has become the Palace Museum, which everyone can visit. After touring the Chushou Palace, the next stop is the Imperial Garden. Compared to the grandeur of the square in front of the Hall of Supreme Harmony, the Imperial Garden, which is only the size of a football field and has over 20 pavilions and towers, feels a bit compact. The garden is home to more than 160 ancient trees over 100 years old, along with countless unique rocks and various flowers and vines, making it a great place for leisurely strolls. Unfortunately, it is winter now, and the scenery is rather bleak. Visiting in spring or summer would surely present a different view. After exploring the Imperial Garden, I exited the palace through the Xinwu Gate, completing my visit to the Forbidden City. Near the north gate of the Forbidden City, I had a bowl of what is claimed to be the most authentic fried sauce noodles in the city at a well-known old restaurant, then took the subway home. Zhang Fan did not go home with Li Hong. Instead, he went directly to the company after getting off the subway. To accommodate the newly arrived second batch of gaming pods, the company expanded its office space and established Room 2 for gaming, placing dozens of new gaming pods there, where most employees could experience them. The original Room 1 was retained exclusively for a few senior staff for research purposes. As soon as he arrived at the entrance of Room 2, Wu Jin stopped him. "Just the person I was looking for. Come to my office." "What is going on with the character you designed?" A chum suddenly turned into a chatterbox. "It wasn't he like this yesterday. Did you add new features?" "No, I didn't T. Last night I noticed his database had skyrocketed, and I was trying to find the reason." "Did you discover anything new?" "You know, I just passed the intermediate test a few days ago. In my previous sessions with the Chung, he was always cool and only said a few simple lines like hello. I am a Chung. The game is starting, you lost, etc. Today, when I started testing, he asked me if I knew Su Wan and if I could introduce him. It really startled me. Wu Zhen explained the situation in one breath. I asked him why he wanted to know Su Wen. He said several people think Su Wen is beautiful and want to talk to her more, so he also wanted to meet her. Wow, your NPC has evolved too quickly. Zhang Fan remarked. Who is Su Wen? Is she from our company? Come on, you're asking this too? I'm really impressed. Wu Zhen slapped his bald head. Su Wen is our company's new art director, a painter graduated from the Central Academy of Fine Arts. She's a real beauty. Do you want me to introduce you? Forget it. We work in the same company. We'll meet sooner or later. No need for your introduction. A Chung might have remembered it from what others said. Leading to his curiosity, Zhang Fan began to understand. If this ISNTA feature you designed, then a Chung is something else. He can develop curiosity and ask questions. Does this mean he truly has intelligence? I also want him to evolve real intelligence, but achieving that is difficult. I'll study his code first, Zhang Fan replied. He usually used Room 1 for testing, where there was always a dedicated gaming pod for him. Entering the gaming pod, Zhang Fan first accessed the Seaside Villa workspace to check the changes in a Cheng's code. The recent changes took Zhang Fan by surprise. With the total amount of code significantly reduced by a third, the bulk of the original code was downloaded from the internet, consisting of open-source graphics and image recognition as well as voice recognition code. After some simple optimizations, it became a Cheng's recognition system. The core logic, response system, memory storage, and self-evolution code were Zhang Fan's original work, accounting for only about 1/10 of the total. Now, nearly half of the recognition system's code has been cut down, while the storage and self-evolution parts of the code have increased significantly. The database capacity has also been greatly reduced. It was almost at full capacity before, but now it has surprisingly freed up more than half. The storage issue that had been a worry just yesterday has somehow been resolved by a Chung. How did he solve it? Has he really evolved to the point of intelligence? Am I this remarkable without even realizing it? Despite no longer being an ordinary person, Zhang Fan still felt a deep sense of self-doubt. Chapter 17. Artificial Intelligence when Designing a Cheng's Core Functions. Zhang Fan incorporated various programming language code rules to enhance his understanding and enable self-evolution of the code. It seems that a Cheng's fighting ability is merely a facade within the game, but his programming skills are solid, comparable to many seasoned programmers. After a Chung was developed, he was continuously trained in a vast grassland environment, and apart from those who had passed the intermediate tests at the company, he should not have encountered anyone else. However, his database contained many image information that he should not have seen, with the predominant one being that of a woman. Zhang Fan did not recognize her, but he had already guessed who she was. The problem was that this woman should not have passed the intermediate test. How did a Chung come across her? Scene switch. Entering the grassland environment. Master, you're late today? As soon as Zhang Fan entered, a Chung had already noticed and was waiting nearby. Master, I have a secret to tell you. What secret? I can understand what others are saying now. How do you understand? I combine what they say with what they think in their minds, and then I get it. After a Cheng's incessant bragging explanation, Zhang Fan finally understood the reason behind the database explosion. A Chung was essentially just a piece of software. But Zhang Fan's special algorithm endowed him with an innate ability to interpret program code. After extensive training in the grassland environment, he merged with the brainwave interpretation program of the game pod, enabling him to naturally understand human brainwaves. Initially, training only with Zhang Fan didn't reveal this ability. But after training with multiple people, he discovered that others' brainwaves often contained a lot of extraneous information. These elements were beyond a Cheng's comprehension, and he could only forcibly memorize them into the database, leading to the database explosion. Yesterday, Zhang Fan told him to ask if he didn't understand something. After figuring things out, a Chung became a chatterbox, truly embodying the idea of ask if you don't understand. He then realized that others were different from his master. Whenever he asked a question, both their mouths and minds would respond simultaneously. The once incomprehensible brainwaves became easy for him to understand. The current batch of trainees for a Chung mostly consists of company programmers. The programs that often run through these programmers' minds are difficult for others to understand. But for a Chung, they are almost instinctual. With inherent graphical recognition abilities, he can easily interpret the graphical information contained in certain brainwaves. Especially after a programmer is stumped by his questions, the phrase when in doubt, ask Baidu for domestic issues, and Google for international ones seems to open a new world for a Chung. He instantly breaks through the limitations of the company intranet and enters the vast expanse of the internet. The special algorithm advantages cannot be realized in a small, closed local network. Now, a Chung feels like a dragon diving into the sea, constantly absorbing massive amounts of knowledge. And previously puzzling questions are quickly understood. Because the initial model referenced Zhang Fan's brainwave model, a Chung surprisingly possesses the ability to crack passwords instantly, with access to nearly limitless space and computing power on the internet. A Chung, why do you want to know Su Wen? After understanding the background, Zhang Fan was curious. Everyone who passed the intermediate test in the company has come to train with me, except for her, and many people's brains frequently flash her image. I'm also curious about what her brainwaves are like. Despite having graphic and sound recognition abilities, Achung is more accustomed to recognizing a person through brainwaves. Achung, do you know what our company does now? Brainwave gaming pods, and brainwave games based on these pods. Do you have any suggestions? It feels like the game design is too simple, and the progress is too slow. If these two games were handed over to you, how long would it take to complete them? If only using the existing computing power in the company, it would take less than a month. If I can access external spare computing power, it would be under an hour. I have a new task for you. Study the games on the market and come up with a game plan that can leverage the strengths of our gaming pods and is impossible for others to replicate. Okay, master. After exiting the gaming pod, it was already past 6 in the evening. He only saw Sher Xian still there, studying a circuit board. This person has a low presence in the company, but is an indispensable figure. Without him, Lu Yifun's vision might take a long time to turn into a gaming pod. In just over half a year, the second-generation gaming pod is already being tested, and from the current results, it doesn't require major modifications and is basically ready for mass production. Throughout the process, Sher Xian's hardware department has been responsible for both design and sourcing components, as well as finding manufacturers to supervise production and assembly. Sher Xian, you haven't left work yet? I happen to have something to consult you about. What is it? Go ahead. Sher Xian put down the circuit board and pushed his glasses up with his right index finger. Do you know about the popular AI customer service robots in banks that are featured in short video apps? Oh, that? I know, they're all fake. They can't even be considered artificial intelligence. Based on your experience, not considering the software, how much would it cost to create such a robot? Zhang Fan asked curiously. If we customize one, it should be within 10,000, and for large-scale production, over 100 units could lead to a price reduction of 30%. The intelligent NPC I developed, Aching, has undergone some evolution. If he were given such a body, it should yield even better results. Perhaps we can launch such a product first, so that Lao Lu doesn't have to rush around looking for funding. Is Aching already that impressive? I thought he only knew how to fight. If you could create a combat robot body for him, that would certainly be better. He won't disappoint you. I have classmates who study this. We can contact them to get one for testing. We could also go find them together since it's inconvenient to move the robot around. But Aching can just take a USB drive with him. Alright, it's too late today. Let's talk tomorrow. Wait for my news. The next day, Shirxin took him to a company in the Shangdi Development Zone. This company specializes in researching and manufacturing intelligent robots. Their main product is the customer service robot mentioned by Zhang Fan yesterday, which can be customized in bulk according to customer needs to meet general customer service tasks. They also have more advanced products, including purely online customer service robots. The founder of this company is Dong Lei, a classmate of Shirxin, a tall man from Shandong who looks more like an athlete than a high-tech company owner. After some polite introductions, they arrived at their laboratory. On a metal platform against the wall of the lab, there lay a humanoid robot. It had arms, legs, hands, feet, and a head, with fingers and toes. What's impressive is that the driving system mimics human muscles, connecting the metal skeleton and limbs with metal wires resembling strings, powered by multiple motors throughout the body. The robot's head is designed to resemble a human brain, with 2 cameras for eyes, microphones for ears, and a sound device in the mouth. The jaw can move as well. The spine, sternum, ribs, and pelvis are similar to those of a human. However, the chest and abdominal cavities house the main system and batteries, connected to motors throughout the body with numerous wires, including the eyes, ears, and mouth. Once the robot is fitted with skin and hair, its appearance will be hardly distinguishable from a real person. Initially, Zhang Fan looked down on their main product being a customer service robot, but upon seeing this robot, he immediately changed his mind. Dong Lei introduced them to the lab director, who is also the main designer and manufacturer of the robot, Jia Xiaowei, who had messy hair and thick glasses. Dong Lei and his 2 assistants carefully lifted the robot to the center of the lab and pressed the start button on its chest. After a buzzing sound from the computer booting up, the camera in the robot's eyes flashed red, and it began to move slowly. First, its head turned in a full circle. Then the left arm bent and straightened, opening and closing its fist, followed by the right arm, left leg, and right leg, each moving in turn until it stood still. Number 1. Take 2 steps. Jia Xiaowei commanded. Yes, take 2 steps. The robot is named 1. Upon receiving a command, it responded with a sound and repeated the command. It then slowly stepped forward with its left leg, followed by its right leg, standing firmly with its legs together before stepping out with its left leg and right leg again, then standing still. Indeed, it took 2 steps. While an ordinary person takes about 1 second to walk 2 steps, this robot took nearly 10 seconds. I am not afraid of being laughed at. It can't walk faster because if it does, it might fall. Balancing control is quite difficult. It took a year to build the robot's body. And it took another 6 months to teach it how to walk like this. I don't know how long it will take for it to walk normally like a human, Dong Lei explained. Can I take a look at the robot's control program? After a brief inspection of the code, Zhang Fan inserted a Cheng's simplified version of the code into the system and recompiled it, replacing the robot's original code. The whole process took 45 minutes. The robot's main unit rebooted with a buzzing sound, and the camera in the robot's eyes flashed red before it began to move slowly. First, its head turned slowly in a complete circle like a human. Then its left arm bent and straightened, fist clenched and opened, followed by the right arm, left leg, and right leg.